Chapter 1921. Apart from these people, even Zhang Zifan, who was usually unruly, was sitting there obediently at this moment. It could be said that, apart from the Lu clan, all the experts of the Flying Star continent were here. Brother Huayuan, even you are no match for Lu Chuanjia now? The one who asked was Shin Qianshi. Shin Qianshi and Huayuan had a good relationship. This meeting was also initiated by Shin Qianshi. Huayuan bitterly laughed and pointed at his empty left arm. 3 days ago, I spied on the Lu clan's stronghold and heard that the Lu clan was preparing to attack the other powers. If it wasn't for the fact that I lost my left arm in less than 3 rounds, I wouldn't have bothered Brother Qianshi to gather everyone here today. Less than 3 rounds. Lu Chuanjia is already this strong? Although the Duan clan's Duan Qingyang had always been a subordinate of the Lu clan, everyone knew that this old fox was also ambitious. Moreover, if the Lu clan insisted on unifying the Flying Star continent, there was naturally no need for the Duan clan to exist. Therefore, at this time, Duan Qingyang came uninvited. After Duan Qingyang finished speaking, Huayuan laughed loudly. In the quiet hall, only Huayuan's somewhat lonely laughter could be heard. If it was Lu Chuanjiao, then it's fine. The one who cut off my left arm was that brat Lu Xingjin. Although Huayuan still didn't understand how Lu Xingjin reached the 8th level of the origin martial realm in such a short amount of time, his empty left arm told him that Lu Xingjin was indeed at the 8th level of the origin martial realm. President, something happened. At this time, an attendant from the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild hurriedly walked in with a panicked expression. When the attendant said this, everyone in the hall was shocked. If something happened at this time, it was obvious that it had to do with the Lu clan's manner. Could it be that Lu Chuanjia couldn't sit still and was preparing to make a move now? What is it? Shin Qianshi's heart was also full of doubt. If something happened at this time, it would definitely be related to the Lu clan's manner. However, in Shin Qianshi's opinion, this was not the best time for the Lu clan to make a move. Moreover, the leaders of all the powers were gathered here. If something happened to one of the powers, these people should have received the news already. Lu Renwu. The waiter was interrupted by Zhang Jujin. Did that bastard Lu Renwu kill people in Evergreen Market again? Zhang Jujin really hated Lu Renwu to the core. This time, Zhang Jujin had put all his family's assets into the construction of the Evergreen Market. As a result, Lu Renwu had turned the Evergreen Market into a mess during this period of time. No, Lu Renwu was killed by a mysterious expert. Although he had been interrupted by Zhang Jujin, the martialist did not dare say anything else. After Zhang Jujin finished speaking, he hurriedly reported the information he had received. Lu Renwu was killed? This news instantly caused an uproar in the hall. One had to know that Lu Renwu was a martial artist of the 6th level of the origin realm. In the current Flying Star continent, other than the people here and the Lu family's martial artists, who else had the ability to kill Lu Renwu? Is the information reliable? Although he knew that the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild's information was never wrong, Zhang Jujin couldn't help but ask. Chapter 1922. Oh, who did it? Hearing this, Shin Qianshi's eyes lit up. Though the Flying Star continent was ruled by the 8 Overlord forces, not all the experts were in the 8 Overlord forces. Even though the Dan Guild and the Golden Seeking Pavilion were not in the 8 Overlord forces, they also had many experts. As the president of the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild, Shin Qianshi naturally knew that other than that, there were many experts who were independent cultivators. These people were extremely low-key and rarely showed themselves, but their cultivation was not weak either. This martial artist who killed Lu Renwu was obviously a reclusive martial artist. It was a very young white-clothed young man. He called himself Tang Tian and killed Lu Renwu with one strike. Then, he went to the Lu family's temporary residence outside of the Evergreen Market. The attendant was there at the time, so his description was very clear. He saw the entire conflict between Tang Ao and Lu Renwu. Is there a spirit image? Hearing that Tang Ao killed Lu Renwu with one strike, Xin Qianshir's heart suddenly lit up with hope. Today, everyone gathered together. Though they could combine the power of all the factions, in terms of top-notch cultivators, they still could not contend against the Lu family manor. Before, the Lu family manor had Lu Chuanjia, who was at the 8th level of the Origin Realm. Now there was Lu Xingjin, who was at the 8th level of the Origin Realm. Even if everyone here attacked together, they would not be able to defeat the father and son. However, since someone could kill Lu Renwu with one strike, it meant that this person's cultivation was at least at the peak of the 7th level of the Origin Realm, or even the 8th level of the Origin Realm. Brother Qianshir, do you think it's someone from the Heavenly Star Academy? Though the Heavenly Star Academy was mysterious, it was not unknown to everyone here. However, the Heavenly Star Academy never interacted with these factions, so everyone did not know. As everyone was still guessing Tang Ao's identity, Tang Ao had already arrived outside of the Lu family's temporary residence with Little Iron Pillar. Tang Ao could immediately tell that there were a few shoddy defensive formations. Also, inside the residence, there was an old ghost at the 6th level of the Origin Realm. This was something that Tang Ao had seen before. Although he wasn't young anymore, this old man clearly knew how to enjoy life. Even at this moment, he still had a woman in his arms and fine wine in his hands as he watched the dancers dance. As soon as Tang Ao and Little Tai Zhu approached the encampment, two Lu family martial artists stepped forward to stop Tang Ao. This is the temporary encampment of the Lu clan. Trespassers will die. Tang Ao did not bother talking nonsense with the two of them. He released his aura and the two of them were sent flying by Tang Ao's powerful essence. Little Tai Zhu, who was beside Tang Ao, looked at Tang Ao with admiration. Before they left, Tang Ao's cultivation was not bad. But now, Tang Ao's cultivation had simply broken through the sky. In Tang Ao's hands, Lu Renwu, who was at the 6th level of the Origin Realm, could be killed with one strike. As for the two guards at the 4th level of the Origin Realm, Tang Ao did not even need to do anything. He only needed to release his horrifying aura and he could heavily injure the two of them in an instant. This was a true expert. Little Tai Zhu looked at Tang Ao's back and his gaze was filled with longing. Chapter 1923. After entering the Lu family's temporary encampment, Tang Ao's soul remembrance began to search wantonly. Very quickly, Tang Ao found an underground prison. At this moment, Ling Weiwei, Wu Shu, and the others were all imprisoned in this prison. As for the two raging flame lions, they were currently imprisoned in two iron cages in the prison. After discovering the dungeon, Tang Ao walked straight towards the direction of the dungeon. At this moment, a youth wearing embroidered clothes and carrying a padao brought a group of people over from the side. "You bunch of trash, you dare to watch someone do whatever he wants in our Lu family's encampment. Hurry up and chop him up." After this youth gave the order, though the surrounding people were afraid of Tang Ao, they still clenched their teeth and charged over. However, before these people could even get close to Tang Ao's powerful aura was instantly released. An incomparably powerful energy wave swept through the air. These martial artists charging towards Tang Ao were instantly sent flying back as if they had been hit by a heavy blow. At this moment, the embroidered clothed youth's padao chopped towards Tang Ao's back. Though Tang Ao's strength was far beyond his imagination, seeing that his sneak attack was about to succeed, the embroidered clothed youth's eyes were full of excitement. Pooh! The embroidered clothed youth's padao solidly chopped Tang Ao in two. However, what confused him was that he didn't seem to hit anything and no blood flew out. "Young Master Diao, be careful." At this moment, the embroidered clothed youth heard a shout behind him. However, before he could turn around to look, a cyan-colored sword aura had already pierced through his head. In this final moment, the embroidered-clothed youth's heart was filled with boundless regret. After Lu Chuanjia and Lu Xingjin broke through to the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm, the Lu family's time to rule the Flying Star Continent was about to arrive. However, Lu Diao didn't expect that due to his momentary impulse, he would never see that moment arrive. However, what Lu Diao didn't know was that not only did the Lu family's great era not arrive, it was about to end. Diao! Lu Renzi came out and saw Tang Ao casually use a sword aura to pierce Lu Diao's head. Because of his cultivation, Lu Renzi had a son at an old age. Thus, Lu Renzi doted on his only son very much. No matter where Lu Renzi went, he would bring his only son with him. What Lu Renzi didn't expect was that he would actually be cut off in the Lu family's territory today. "I'll chop you into pieces." Like Lu Condor, Lu Renzi also used a padao. The only difference was that this guy actually held a padao in each hand. One had to know that the padao was originally a two-handed weapon, so Lu Renzi's use of it could be said to be superb. However, in the face of absolute strength, no matter how powerful Lu Renzi's saber was, it was useless. Lu Renzi's body erupted with origin energy. At the same time, he suddenly threw the long saber in his hand at Tang Ao. Then, he held the other padao with both hands and slashed at Tang Ao. Facing the flying padao, Tang Ao directly extended his palm and casually slapped it. Immediately, the padao that Lu Renzi had used for over 60 years was smashed into pieces by Tang Ao's palm. After Lu Renzi's padao was smashed, Lu Renzi also tightly held the other padao with both hands and slashed at Tang Ao with a force that could split a mountain. Chapter 1924. What kind of existence was that? Fourth Master Lu, who could do whatever he wanted in the Flying Star Continent, was crushed to death by someone's hand. At that moment, everyone from the Lu family only had one thought. The Lu family was finished. After provoking such an existence, even the family master might not be able to defeat him. At that moment, the Lu family's encampment was in chaos. Many people were stealing things and many people were running away in panic. Tang Ao did not kill all the small fries from the Lu family. Very quickly, Tang Ao arrived at the prison. Ling Weiwei heard noises and raised her head to take a look. Seeing that the person who entered was a white-clothed young man that she had never seen before, her eyes couldn't help but reveal a confused expression. "Junior Ling, long time no see." Tang Ao's body transformed and returned to his original appearance. After Ling Weiwei saw that it was Tang Ao, her eyes were full of joy. But soon after, she seemed to have thought of something and her face changed. She quickly said to Tang Ao, "Big brother Tang Ao, quickly leave. There are two powerful Lu family experts here. They are both at the 6th level of the Origin Realm." Before Ling Weiwei finished, she was interrupted by Lil Izhu, who followed behind Tang Ao. "Sister Weiwei, don't worry. Those two old turtles have already been killed by Big Brother Tang Ao. With Big Brother Tang Ao's current strength, even if that old man Lu Chuanjia came, he would only be sending himself to death." Right now, Lil Taizhu really admired Tang Ao from the bottom of his heart. The move that Tang Ao used to kill Lu Renzi was really too handsome. In reality, what Lil Taizhu did not know was that although Tang Ao seemed to be playing it down, using the Origin Chi Giant Hand to crush Lu Renzi was much more difficult than using the Azure Lotus Sword Chi. However, in order to create a shocking effect, Tang Ao casually tried it. He waved his sleeves and several rays of light flew out, cutting the iron chains that bound Ling Weiwei and the others. Then, Tang Ao took out some pellets and gave them to eat. After taking Tang Ao's pills, Ling Weiwei and the others' complexions quickly improved. At this time, Tang Ao also heard the two flaming lions locked up in another room. Due to the soul brand, these two fellows could also sense that Tang Ao was nearby. Looking at these two guys, Tang Ao couldn't help but sigh. After little Tai Zhu and the others were captured, they were tortured to the point of no return. However, these two guys were very well fed. Obviously, the Lu family's warriors also wanted to raise these two blazing lions. However, they did not know that Tang Ao had already planted a soul brand on these two blazing lions. At the same time, Tang Ao also saw the other warriors locked up in the dungeon. Immediately, Tang Ao casually threw out a ray of sword chi. The sharp sword light cut the iron door of the dungeon in half. At the same time, these people all knelt down and said, "Thank you, Senior, for saving us." Tang Ao casually waved out 2 rays of sword chi to break the iron cage of the blazing lions and said, the Lu family's warriors have already escaped. You can take whatever you want from the Lu family's camp." These people naturally understood that Tang Ao was speaking the truth. Although they did not understand what had happened, if the Lu family's warriors had not left, Tang Ao would not have been able to come here so easily. What's the matter? At this time, Tang Ao saw a warrior with disheveled hair come in front of him. Towards this young man with disheveled hair, Tang Ao felt that he was a bit familiar, but Tang Ao could not remember where he had seen him before. Chapter 1925. After the chaos ended, since Tang Ao was able to arrive here so casually and without a trace on his body, it meant that Tang Ao was clearly a peak expert. Li Wangshu had the cultivation of the 5th level of the Origin Realm, but under Li Wangshu's perception, Tang Ao's cultivation was like a mist. He could not see through it at all. That meant that Tang Ao's cultivation was at least above the 9th level of the Origin Realm. Because before, when he was captured by Lu Xingjin's cultivation was at the 8th level of the Origin Realm. I don't like people discussing conditions with me. Tang Ao was not interested in the enormous secret that Li Wangshu spoke of. After releasing the 2 Inferno Lions, Tang Ao waved his sleeve and the 2 Inferno Lions were put into the chaotic hexlight mirror. Tang Ao's move stunned Li Wangshu once again. Storage rings could store items, but they could not store living things. However, Li Wangshu was certain that the presence of the 2 Inferno Lions had disappeared into thin air. At that time, Li Wangshu no longer hesitated. Tang Ao saw Li Wangshu's right hand form a sword with his fingers and swipe across his left wrist. Shortly after, Tang Ao saw that within Li Wangshu's flesh, there was a storage ring hidden. Seeing that scene, Tang Ao was interested. Something that could be hidden like that would definitely not be ordinary. Seeing Li Wangshu's sword energy, Tang Ao also remembered who the guy with disheveled hair was. Back then, when Tang Ao was hunting for soul crystals, it was this guy and his subordinates who caused trouble. Although they didn't cause any losses to Tang Ao still remembered him. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that guy to be in such dire straits. At that time, Li Wangshu also took out a badge from his storage ring. Upon seeing this token, Tang Ao was shocked. Fallen Star Token. Tang Ao didn't expect this guy to have a meteorite command. Now, Tang Ao already knew that this meteorite command was a treasure that surpassed the primordial sacred sky Bao and Shinong cauldron. Although he didn't know its use, this meteorite command was really tempting to Tang Ao. But Tang Ao didn't know why Li Wangshu had taken out the Fallen Star token. Seeing that Tang Ao also knew of the Falling Star command, Li Wangshu's expression brightened. Senior, there are a total of 8 Fallen Star tokens. The ancestors of the 8 overlord forces of the Flying Star continent each obtained one. This meteorite token originally belonged to the multiple chain dot. Tang Ao nodded. He knew about this. Then, Tang Ao asked, "Is this meteorite token related to the secret you mentioned?" Until now, Tang Ao still didn't know what use the meteorite command had. However, Tang Ao was sure that this meteorite command was really a rare treasure. Li Wangshu handed over the meteorite command in his hand to Tang Ao, then continued, "In the Flying Star Cliff where the Lu family's manor is located, it is also the place where the meteorite command was found. Then, in the belly of the flying star cliff, there is a huge array. It is said that this array only opens once every 1,800 years, and opening this array can connect the flying star continent and other worlds. When Li Wangshu said this, Tang Ao was delighted. Originally, if Tang Ao wanted to leave the flying star continent, he would have to wait for Blood Scar to recover to the astral reaching realm or use the space-breaking spell. However, both of these methods had huge drawbacks. Using the space-breaking spell, the destination could not be determined, and waiting for Blood Scar to recover to the astral reaching realm would take a long time. Chapter 1926. How do you know about this? Tang Ao took the Fallen Star Command token from Li Wangshu and at the same time, asked the question in his heart. Right now, there is a guy called Shi Yun in the stronghold of the Lu family's manor. He doesn't have any fluctuation of origin energy, but he is very strange. The reason why Lu Xingjin was able to cultivate to the 8th level of the origin martial realm in such a short period of time is all thanks to him. These words were said by him. Moreover, it seems that only he can activate the formation of the Flying Star Cliff. The reason why the Lu father and son decided to attack the other powers and unify the Flying Star Continent is because they want to unify the Flying Star Continent and gather all the Fallen Star Command tokens. Then, the Lu family can send cultivators to explore other worlds. After hearing Shi Yun's name, Tang Ao already believed it. Tang Ao first learned about the Fallen Star Command token from Shi Yun. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that Shi Yun, a Grand Peak Chaotic Heaven stage expert, would lower his status and join hands with the Lu family's cultivators. However, Tang Ao quickly understood. Although Shi Yun and Xuejiu were both Chaotic Heaven stage experts, Shi Yun and Xuejiu were completely different. Xuejiu cultivated a blood cultivation method, which could also be cultivated here. However, Shi Yun clearly cultivated immortal spiritual power. There was no spiritual power here, let alone immortal spiritual power. Moreover, the appearance of the bloody wasteland also disrupted Shi Yun's chances. With the appearance of cultivators like Lu Chuanjia, it became very difficult for Shi Yun to collect the Fallen Star Command tokens. Therefore, Shi Yun directly told the secret of the Fallen Star Command token. However, Tang Ao wasn't sure whether Shi Yun only knew that much about the Fallen Star Command token. While Tang Ao was pondering, Li Wangshu said again, according to Shi Yun, there are still 36 days before the Grand Formation opens. Junior hopes that if Senior is able to go to other worlds, please take Junior with you. This time, Li Wangshu also understood Tang Ao's nature. Raising conditions with Tang Ao was clearly out of the question. However, if he lowered his stance, Tang Ao wouldn't be that difficult to talk to. No problem. If the formation you mentioned can really connect to other worlds, I'll take you with me when I leave the Flying Star Continent. However, I can only promise to bring you along. As for your life and death, that will depend on your own luck. This Junior understands. Li Wangshu was overjoyed when he heard Tang Ao agree. The reason why he didn't hand over the Fallen Star token to the Lu clan was because he didn't want the Lu clan to have complete control over the passageway. This was because if the passageways to other worlds were controlled by the Lu clan would definitely not allow other martial artists to go to other worlds to search for opportunities. Obtaining a meteorite token so easily, Tang Ao was also in a good mood. At the same time, Tang Ao was also very grateful for the information provided by Li Wangshu. Now that he knew that the ancient formation of the Flying Star Cliff could connect to other worlds, and that the Fallen Star token was the key to open the formation, Tang Ao decided to take the initiative and gain the upper hand. He wanted to obtain the remaining 4 Fallen Star tokens first. The reason why there were 4 was because both Shi Yun and Lu Chuanjia had Fallen Star tokens. However, Lu Chuanjia's Fallen Star token must have fallen into Shi Yun's hands. As for Shi Yun's whereabouts, Tang Ao really couldn't find him. Do you know who has the fallen star tokens? Regarding this question, Tang Ao didn't have much hope and just casually asked. Not long ago, I saw with my own eyes 2 fallen star tokens in Shi Yun's hands. Shi Yun and Lu Chuanjiao were together. These 2 fallen star tokens shouldn't be easy for Senior to obtain. Moreover, I have already handed over the fallen star token in my hands to Senior. Other than these 3 fallen star tokens, the remaining 5 should be in the hands of the Shangguan clan, Bloody Kill Tower, Dragon Prison Castle, Pure One School, and Cloud Luan Palace. Tang Ao agreed with Li Wangshu's analysis. Other than the fact that the Shangguan clan's fallen star token was in Tang Ao's hands, there were no problems with the other analysis. If there were no accidents, it was very possible that it was as Li Wangshu said. At that time, Li Wangshu spoke again. Senior, if you want to take the fallen star token now, there is a good opportunity. However, I don't know if Senior's cultivation can fight against the 7th level of the Origin Martial Realm and many 6th level Origin Martial Realm martial artists. Chapter 1927. Senior, I received news that when the Lu family attacked the other forces, these forces were also burning with anxiety. At this moment, including the Dan Guild, Golden Seeking Pavilion, and the sect masters of some top forces, they are all gathered in the 100 Treasures Tower of the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild to discuss. Li Wangshu said very seriously. Because this news was extremely secretive, Li Wangshu was also worried that Tang Ao wouldn't believe him. Tang Ao's eyes lit up when he heard this, and then he asked, "How many forces with falling star tokens are in this gathering?" Tang Ao didn't doubt that Li Wangshu wouldn't lie to him, because with such a huge gap in strength, if Li Wangshu lied, Tang Ao would be able to sense the abnormal fluctuations in his soul. And now, Li Wangshu clearly wasn't lying. Moreover, the Evergreen Market wasn't far from here. If the sect masters of the other 7 overlord forces gathered here to discuss, Tang Ao would be able to meet all of them when he went. Thinking that he would soon be able to leave the Flying Star continent, Tang Ao simply revealed his original appearance. With a wave of Yuan Qi from Tang Ao's body, Tang Ao changed back to his original appearance. Tang Ao, Senior! Li Wangshu exclaimed when he saw that the person in front of him was Tang Ao. Li Wangshu never would have thought that Tang Ao, who had been besieged and forced to flee in a sorry state, had grown to such a level. As expected, the river flows east for 30 years, then west for 30 years. Do not bully the young for being poor. Lead the way. Tang Ao ignored Li Wangshu's surprise and let Li Wangshu lead the way. Li Wangshu sighed in his heart and didn't think too much. He began to lead the way for Tang Ao to the 100 Treasures Tower. At this moment, in the 100 Treasures Tower, the overlords of the major forces in the past all showed happy expressions. Not long ago, they received news that Lu Renwu had been killed by an expert in Evergreen Market. Just a moment ago, they received news that the senior who killed Lu Renwu clearly had a good relationship with the cultivators of the 100 Flowers Manor. So after he killed Lu Renwu, he immediately headed to the Lu clan's temporary encampment outside Evergreen Market. In the Lu clan's temporary encampment, this person also instantly killed Lu Renzi of the Lu clan. These events were enough to explain 2 things. Firstly, this senior was not afraid of the cultivators in the Lu family manor at all, which was why he had killed 2 of the 5 Lu family elders in succession. Not to mention killing 2 of the Lu clan's 5 elders, even killing one would cause the Lu clan to be irreconcilable enemies. This martial artist called Tang Tian had killed 2 of them consecutively. It was obvious that he was demonstrating his power to the Lu clan. Another problem was that Lu Renwu and Lu Renzi, who were at the 6th level of the Origin Realm, couldn't even take one attack from Tang Tian. That meant that Tang Tian was at the peak of the 7th level of the Origin Realm, or even the 8th level of the Origin Realm. At this moment, the father and son of the Lu family wanted to wipe out all the other forces and unite the Flying Star continent. The other major forces were all huddled together for warmth. Naturally, the appearance of such a powerful martial artist at this time was what they wanted to see the most. Where is that senior now? Let's hurry up and get to know each other, Shen Qianshi said decisively without hesitation. President, that senior should still be in the Liu family's temporary encampment. Although the Nine-Colored Deer Trade Union's intelligence network was impressive, it couldn't transmit information in real time. Chapter 1928. I wouldn't dare to trouble you all. This Tang is already here, Tang Ao said as he walked into the meeting hall. After seeing Tang Ao, everyone's expression was different. Everyone here knew Tang Ao, but up until now, no one had connected Tang Ao with that mysterious expert. You, Tang Ao, how dare you trespass into the meeting hall? Before anyone else could speak, Duan Qingyang immediately reprimanded him. As Duan Qingyang was reprimanding him, Drunken Gold Manners He Yuchen also immediately stood up and moved, cutting off Tang Ao's path of retreat. If it weren't for the current problems of the Liu family, He Yuchen would still be searching for Tang Ao all over the world. This was because when the Drunken Gold Manners martial artists had discovered the puppet world's array disc, they had also obtained a dark silver puppet. Now, He Yuchen knew that this dark silver puppet was definitely an incredible treasure. It had always been He Yuchen who took other people's things. When had it ever been someone else's turn to take his things? Now that Tang Ao had come to him on his own accord, how could He Yuchen let go of Tang Ao? Unlike the others, when she saw Tang Ao, Fairy Yunluan's face immediately lit up. After not seeing him for a long time, this little girl had grown even more beautiful. Fairy Yunluan stood up and bowed to Tang Ao. Yunluan greets Pill Master Tang Ao. Yunluan wasn't sure if Tang Ao still remembered her agreement with Tang Ao, or if Tang Ao had the ability to refine the spirit pill. When Tang Ao had been intercepted by Duan Qingyang, it was Yunluan and the Cloud Luan Palace martial artists who had helped Tang Ao escape. Tang Ao naturally wouldn't forget this kindness. Since Fairy Yunluan was so courteous, Tang Ao naturally cupped his fists. I haven't seen you for a long time, but you are still as elegant as ever. When Tang Ao said this, he looked Yunluan up and down without the slightest trace of politeness. In this half a year, Fairy Yunluan had grown up a little. Although she was still a little immature, she was already very enchanting. The current Yunluan was not inferior to Chu Shuahan and Luo Yunshang. However, Yunluan's cultivation was at the peak of the 6th level of the origin martial realm. If someone looked at her like this in the past, Yunluan would definitely be angry. But now, Yunluan didn't know why, but being stared at by Tang Ao, she felt a bit shy and a bit angry, but she didn't get angry. Tang Ao's glance also made Yunluan's little face blush. After Yunluan, Zhang Zifan also immediately stood up. Alchemist Tang Ao, long time no see. It's a pleasure to meet you today. Zhang Zifan had long wanted to get to know Tang Ao, but due to a strange combination of factors, the two never had the chance to get to know each other. Even so, Tang Ao knew that Zhang Zifan had lined up He Jin to help him. Therefore, Tang Ao cupped his fists and returned the greeting. Brother Zifan, you're too polite. Let's have a few drinks later. Towards Zhang Zifan, Tang Ao had a pretty good impression. Such an interesting person, Tang Ao was naturally willing to get to know him. Compared to Yunluan and Zhang Zifan, the others maintained a wait-and-see attitude. Shen Luoli wanted to greet Tang Ao, but under Shen Qianshi's gaze, she sat back down. Moreover, Shen Luoli really didn't understand why Tang Ao would come to this kind of place. One had to know that at this moment, Duan Qingyang from the Duan clan and He Yuchen from the intoxicated gold pavilion obviously wouldn't let Tang Ao off. Chapter 1929. Hua Yuan originally thought that Tang Ao had fallen, but now it seemed that not only was Tang Ao not dead, but he was also living a carefree life. Although there were many alchemists in the Flying Star continent, there were not many top-level alchemists. Alchemists at the level of Tang Ao were even rarer. Hua Yuan established the Alchemy Guild for the prosperity of the Flying Star continent's alchemy industry. A genius alchemist like Tang Ao, Hua Yuan naturally had to pay attention to him. But now that the Flying Star continent was in chaos, Hua Yuan did not have the energy to look for Tang Ao. "Thank you for your trouble, Senior." Tang Ao had also heard about Hua Yuan looking for him in the Scarlet Wasteland. Tang Ao was also very grateful to Hua Yuan. When Tang Ao was being hunted down in the Scarlet Wasteland, Hua Yuan expressed that he wanted to protect Tang Ao, which also reduced the pressure on Tang Ao to a certain extent. He Yu-Chen saw that after Tang Ao came in, he actually only greeted his acquaintances and did not pay attention to him at all. He immediately became angry. "Brother Duan, this boy is extremely arrogant. How about you and I join forces to take him down?" If it was just to deal with Tang Ao, He Yu-Chen naturally did not need to join forces with Duan Qingyang. The reason why he said he wanted to join forces with Duan Qingyang was because He Yu-Chen was worried that other people would help Tang Ao. But what He Yu-Chen did not expect was that before Yun Luan and the others could speak, Shangguan Yi, the master of the Shangguan family, and Lu Hailong, the master of the multiple chain dock, stood up. "We also have some grievances with Alchemist Tang Ao, so we would like to ask Alchemist Tang Ao to stay. After we finish our discussion, we will settle things with Alchemist Tang Ao." Seeing this scene, Hua Yuan smashed the table in front of him with a palm. "I want to see who dares to touch Tang Ao today." Although Yun Luan and Zhang Zifan did not speak, they had already walked behind Tang Ao. Their intentions were self-evident. Zhang Jujin didn't expect that his son would still support Tang Ao in such a situation. However, Zhang Jujin didn't blame Zhang Zifan because Zhang Zifan's judgment had never disappointed him for a long time. Looking at the tense situation, Shin Qianshi only felt a slight headache. Now that the threat of the Lu family had yet to be resolved, these people were already fighting amongst themselves. Shin Qianshi even suspected that Lu Chuanjiao wasn't afraid of them joining hands because he knew that their grudges were too deep. Seeing He Yu-Chen's group of 4 surrounding him, Tang Ao smiled indifferently. Immediately after, he took out 2 meteorite tokens and said, "This Tang came here today for no other reason than to take the meteorite tokens in your hands. Therefore, if you have a fallen star token, please hand it over to this Tang." Of course, everyone present recognized the meteorite tokens. In fact, apart from the 2 meteorite tokens in Tang Ao's hands, there were 4 other meteorite tokens in the hall. However, the meteorite tokens were the tokens of the 8 overlord forces of the Flying Star continent. Apart from that, they had no other use. Therefore, no one knew what Tang Ao wanted the meteorite tokens for. Arrogant to the extreme. "Today, I want to see if you have the qualifications to take the meteorite tokens." As He Yu-Chen spoke, his figure moved and the folding fan in his hand slashed at Tang Ao. It was clearly a folding fan, but when it was slashed in He Yu-Chen's hand, it was like a sharp steel knife. Chapter 1930. At the same time, Tang Ao moved his body to the side and dodged Duan Qingyang's sneak attack from behind. At the same time, he flicked his 2 fingers and Duan Qingyang's black dragon sword was shattered into pieces by Tang Ao. Tang Ao grabbed a piece of the broken sword and threw it into his hand. With a "piu" sound, the broken sword pierced through Duan Qingyang's heart and Duan Qingyang's body also softly fell onto the ground. This sudden scene stunned everyone. He Yu-Chen and Duan Qingyang were both at the peak of the 6th level of the Origin Martial Realm, but the 2 of them were like bubbles in front of Tang Ao. They couldn't even last 1 round and were killed by Tang Ao. Even now, the matter was not over. The Origin energy on Tang Ao's body shook and immediately, A vast and terrifying origin energy enveloped the entire conference hall. Everyone felt their chests tighten and they couldn't breathe. Shangguan Yi and Lu Rulong, who were the first to bear the brunt of the attack, were suppressed by Tang Ao's tyrannical spirit pressure until their waists bent down. The two of them were certain that if Tang Ao didn't stop, he would definitely be able to press the two of them onto the ground. At that moment, how could everyone not understand that the person who killed the two Lu family martial artists was the Tang Ao in front of them? When they heard that Tang Ao killed two experts from the Lu family, they didn't really care. But now, when they saw Tang Ao kill Duan Qingyang and He Yuchen in front of them, they finally understood how terrifying Tang Ao's current strength was. "Senior, spare us!" Shangguan Yi and Lu Rulong were yelling before, but when they saw Tang Ao kill He Yuchen and Duan Qingyang, they knew that if Tang Ao was unhappy, he would kill the two of them and they would die for nothing. Hua Yuan fought against Lu Xingjin, who was at the 8th level of the Origin Realm. So, Hua Yuan knew that Tang Ao's current cultivation was absolutely not only at the 8th level of the Origin Realm. It wasn't even at the 9th level of the Origin Realm. It surpassed the boundary of the Origin Realm. Because of the 9 Dragons Emperor Jade Body, although Tang Ao was only at the 1st level of the Sea of Souls Realm, the density of Yuan Qi in Tang Ao's body was even stronger than a 3rd-level Sea of Souls Realm martial artist. Moreover, Tang Ao's battle prowess was comparable to the martial artists of the 5th floor of Linghai Jing. Tang Ao had not come here today to kill anyone. The reason why he had killed Duan Qingyang and He Yuchen was because Tang Ao had a deep grudge with the two of them. As for the others, although there were some conflicts of interest, Tang Ao wouldn't go so far as to kill them all. After Tang Ao took back his powerful aura, that suffocating feeling also disappeared. Yun Luan also took out the Cloud Luan Palace's Fallen Star badge from his storage ring. "Senior Tang Ao, this is our Cloud Luan Palace's Fallen Star badge." Although Tang Ao's cultivation was terrifyingly powerful, Yun Luan still felt that it was not appropriate to call Tang Ao senior, so he just called him Senior Tang Ao. Tang Ao took the Fallen Star badge from Yun Luan's hand, then said, "Junior sister Yun Luan, give me the ingredients for the spirit pellet. I will give you the pellet in 3 days." After saying that, Tang Ao looked at the others. "You guys don't have the Fallen Star badge?" Although everyone did not know what Tang Ao wanted the Fallen Star badge for, they still took it out. Chapter 1931. President Qianshi, there will be a map of the Earth Fire Stone ruins at the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild's 100-year celebration tomorrow. I don't know who put it up for auction, but this map is very important to me. Please tell me. After getting the 6 meteorite badges so easily, Tang Ao was in a good mood. After everything was settled, Tang Ao prepared to tell them about the Flying Star Cliffs formation. When Shen Qianshi heard Tang Ao mention his name, he thought that Tang Ao was going to rip off the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild. Hearing that Tang Ao only wanted a map of the Earth Fire Stone ruins, Shen Qianshi immediately said, "This map belongs to our 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild. I will give it to Sir Tang Ao as a gift." After Shen Qianshi gave the order, the 9-Colored Deer Merchant Guild's warrior quickly brought over a booklet. Tang Ao took the booklet and opened it. This Earth Fire Stone ruins was actually in the 5th region of the Blood Wasteland. Seeing this, Tang Ao was overjoyed. Since this Earth Fire Stone ruins was in the 5th region of the Blood Wasteland, then very few people would come here. Therefore, the essence of Earth Fire was most likely still under these Earth Fire Stones. After putting away the map of the Earth Fire Stone relic, Tang Ao took out a jade bottle from his storage ring. He then took out 5 pills from the jade bottle and gave them to Shen Qianshi and the others. This pill is called the Spirit Ocean Pill. In reality, the realm above the Origin Martial Realm is the Spirit Sea Realm. Right now, my cultivation is at the Spirit Sea Realm. When you reach the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Martial Realm, Take this spirit ocean pill, and you will be able to reach the spirit sea realm. Tang Ao's words immediately set off a storm in everyone's hearts. Tang Ao had indeed reached the origin martial realm. What was even more shocking was that Tang Ao actually had this kind of pill for breaking through to the spirit sea realm. Shen Qianshi had been doing business his entire life, but he had never felt like he had earned so much. He had only used a mere road map in exchange for such a precious pill. Worth it, this is absolutely worth it. However, Tang Ao's words pulled everyone's thoughts back. In fact, even if you reach the spiritual ocean tier, it is only a stage of cultivation. Above the Sea of Souls realm were the life and death realm and the astral reaching realm. However, due to the lack of spiritual energy on the Flying Star continent, your cultivation on the Flying Star continent is extremely slow. Even if origin crystals appear, the amount of origin crystals required to reach the spiritual ocean realm is still extremely horrifying. When Tang Ao charged to the spiritual ocean realm back then, he'd expended an entire 1 million essence crystals. Tang Ao estimated that if a normal person wanted to reach the Sea of Souls realm, they would need at least 100,000 crystals. It should be noted that the people sitting here were the top forces of the entire Feixing continent. However, there were less than 5 of them who had more than 100,000 crystals in their storage. Chapter 1932. After that, Tang Ao added, although the outside world is more suitable for cultivation compared to the Flying Star continent, the outside world is also more dangerous. I am currently at the first level of the Sea of Souls realm. I am almost invincible on the Flying Star continent, but in the continents with spiritual energy, the first level of the Sea of Souls realm is nothing. After Tang Ao finished speaking, the entire hall was so quiet that one could hear the other person's breathing. Not because of anything else, but the news that Tang Ao said was too shocking. At this moment, everyone was shocked and excited. It turned out that they had been looking at the sky from the bottom of a well for a long time. When they thought about how a mere first level of the origin martial realm could be considered an expert on the Flying Star continent, they found it even more hilarious. However, Shen Qianshi quickly reacted. There are a total of 8 fallen star tokens, and we don't know where the other 2 are. Without the 8 fallen star tokens, can we open this ancient array? Shen Qianshi's words undoubtedly poured a bucket of cold water over everyone's heads. Without any clues, it would be impossible to find 2 fallen star tokens in the entire continent. You don't have to worry about that. Just wait for the array to open in a month. Also, I have a few friends in the East Arrival Inn. I hope President Qianshi can take care of them. Before coming here, Luo Yunshang, Ling Weiwei, and the rest were arranged to stay at the Thousand Stone Inn by Tang Ao. Now that he had the map of the Earth Fire Stone ruins, Tang Ao naturally prepared to go there to get the essence flame. It was impossible to refine a first-grade immortal pill without a good flame. Now that Tang Ao had the Holy Yang Stone, he only needed to get the essence flame to upgrade the nether flame by 2 levels and become a 9th-grade spiritual fire. A 9th-grade spiritual fire was a powerful flame second only to the immortal fire. Even in his previous life, Tang Ao had never used such a powerful flame. After answering a few questions from Shen Qianshi and the rest, Tang Ao left the Evergreen Market and headed for the 5th zone of the Earth Fire Stone ruins. The Scarlet Wasteland was surprisingly large. Even though Tang Ao used the Wind Thunder Nether Cloud to travel, it still took him 2 hours to arrive at the location on the map. This was a very special place. In the Scarlet Wasteland, such a scene could be said to be very rare. At this moment, what appeared in front of Tang Ao was a chain of volcanoes. Among these volcanoes, there were many lava caves with surging lava. On the mountain wall there were some scarlet stones. These stones were the size of a baby's fist. They were the so-called Earth Fire Stones. However, the Earth Fire Stone wasn't of much use to Tang Ao. Tang Ao had come here to search for the earth fire essence. It was quite difficult for normal Origin Realm martial artists to explore such a dangerous place, not to mention digging for earthfire stones or even searching for earthfire marrow flames. Tang Ao's soul remembrance scanned the surroundings. Tang Ao discovered that the earth-fire stones near the edges had been excavated, but the ones deeper in were undamaged. Clearly, the martial artists who discovered the earth-fire stone ruins didn't have the ability to explore this place. Tang Ao moved his Yuan Qi and flew into a lava cave. Chapter 1933. Under the detection of Tang Ao's soul remembrance, nothing in the lava cave could hide from him. However, even so, Tang Ao still didn't find any earth-fire essence flames. Logically, a place with an earth-fire stone would definitely have an earth-fire essence flame. As for the earth-fire essence flame in this place being taken away by another cultivator, that was simply impossible. He was probably the only person in the entire Flying Star continent who could do this. Even Xuejiu, who was at the 8th level of the Origin Martial Realm, wouldn't be able to walk away unscathed. However, what made Tang Ao depressed was that after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find the existence of the earth-fire essence flames. At this moment, Tang Ao didn't hesitate and instantly opened his heavenly polar pupils. Under the observation of the heavenly polar pupils, everything around him became incomparably clear. However, even so, Tang Ao still couldn't find it. At this moment, Tang Ao saw a fingernail-sized transparent crimson crystal not far away. Tang Ao instantly recognized that this was the earth-fire essence flame. However, this earth-fire essence flame was clearly a fragment. After sensing the earth-fire essence flame, the netherworld flame immediately excitedly engulfed the earth-fire essence flame. However, this small amount of earth-fire essence flame clearly wasn't enough for the netherworld flame to level up. Tang Ao was a bit depressed. That earth-fire essence flame had clearly been chewed to pieces by something. At that moment, Tang Ao suddenly had a bad feeling. There must be some powerful Yao beasts here that could feast on the essence earth and fire. Of course, Tang Ao wasn't afraid of this unknown demon beast. What Tang Ao was truly worried about was that this fellow had eaten all the earth-fire essence flame. If that was the case, things would be troublesome. After discovering that there was a demon beast that ate the earth-fire essence flame, Tang Ao simply stopped looking for the earth-fire essence flame and started looking for traces of the demon beast. But what surprised Tang Ao was that this demon beast seemed to have completely integrated with its surroundings. Tang Ao observed for a long time, but did not find any traces of demon beasts in the surroundings. Gotcha! Behind Tang Ao suddenly heard a crisp sound. With Tang Ao's current strength, he naturally wouldn't hallucinate. In other words, there really was a crisp sound coming from that direction. Tang Ao immediately used his sky polar eyes to look in that direction. Then, Tang Ao was surprised to see a crimson crystal the size of a finger. Although this piece of earth-fire essence was bigger than the previous one, it was still a fragment. Tang Ao waved his hand and the earth-fire essence flame flew out. This time, Tang Ao could clearly see a row of teeth marks on the earth-fire essence flame. Seeing this row of teeth marks, Tang Ao felt a little funny. This was because Tang Ao realized that this little fellow that could swallow the earth-fire essence flame didn't even have all its teeth. With this discovery, Tang Ao began to search the ruins in great detail. Tang Ao didn't believe that even his sky polar eyes wouldn't be able to find this fellow. But what made Tang Ao helpless was that this demon beast was really easy to hide in this space. Now, Tang Ao was completely sure that this unknown strange demonic beast, whether it was its figure or aura, could completely blend in with the magma. Chapter 1934. Not long ago, Tang Ao made a fortune from Great Dream Dao Lord's treasury. Now, Tang Ao didn't have anything else on him, but he could get as many treasures as he wanted. After choosing for a while, Tang Ao took out a pearl that was the size of a longan and was surrounded by reddish gold flames. This was a fire spirit bead, a first-grade immortal material that was very precious. But after thinking about it, Tang Ao found that the fire spirit bead was useless to him, so Tang Ao took it out. Most importantly, there were a lot of fire spirit beads in Great Dream Dao Lord's treasury. There were more than 90 of them. Therefore, it wasn't a big deal for Tang Ao to take one out as bait. After taking out the fire spirit bead, Tang Ao began to think about how to lure this demonic beast out. But what Tang Ao didn't expect was that after he took out the fire spirit bead, a string of bubbles appeared in the magma in front of him. Then, Tang Ao saw a little guy the size of a kitten with a red and transparent body coming out of it. After coming out of the magma, this little fellow wasn't afraid of Tang Ao. Instead, it reached its paw into the magma and took out a piece of earth fire essence. After taking out the earth fire essence, the little fellow pointed at the fire spirit bead in Tang Ao's hand and handed over the earth fire essence. This scene made Tang Ao not know whether to laugh or cry. Tang Ao never thought that this demonic beast that ate the earth fire essence would be such a cute little fellow. Something was wrong. Soon, Tang Ao found something unusual. The little fellow's aura gave Tang Ao a very familiar feeling. A moment later, Tang Ao's eyes were filled with shock as he looked at the little fellow that stretched out its paw to exchange for the fire spirit bead. Because at this time, Tang Ao finally remembered where he felt this aura before. Not long ago, in Great Dream Dao Lord's 6th treasury, Tang Ao obtained a trace of innate earth origin aura. The innate earth source aura also gave off the same feeling. Therefore, Tang Ao knew that the little fellow in front of him was not a demonic beast, but a manifestation of innate fire origin aura. Seeing that Tang Ao didn't exchange with it, the little fellow patted its little belly and growled. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This innate fire origin aura had not only taken form, but it also had its own sentience. Now it could really be considered as a special life form. At this moment, the earth fire essence in the little fellow's hand had turned into 2 pieces. It was obvious that he wanted to use 2 pieces of earth fire essence to exchange for the fire spirit pearl with Tang Ao. Seeing that the little fellow was very smart, Tang Ao handed over the spirit bead. After getting the spirit bead, the little fellow excitedly threw the 2 pieces of earth fire essence to Tang Ao. At the same time, it put the fire spirit bead into its mouth and chewed. Tang Ao was secretly puzzled. Under Tang Ao's perception, this innate fire origin strength was similar to his, only at the spirit sea realm. Previously, Tang Ao obtained the innate earth origin aura. Although that aura didn't take shape and didn't have any intelligence, Tang Ao felt a vast and ancient aura from the innate earth origin aura. Compared to the innate earth origin aura, this innate fire origin aura seemed too weak. Chapter 1935. Tang Ao's eyes lit up after thinking for a moment and said, "Little fellow, I have a lot of fire spirit pearls for you to eat. Are you willing to follow me?" After Tang Ao finished speaking, the innate fire origin turned its big eyes, then turned around and left. Tang Ao was stunned. With this little thing's spiritual wisdom, it shouldn't be so smart. But soon, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry because the innate fire origin that had just left came back. Tang Ao also saw that there was a bracelet on each of its wrists. Tang Ao could see that this bracelet was obviously a storage spirit artifact. However, the 2 bracelets were of a very high grade and had already surpassed the category of spirit artifact. It would be more accurate to say that it was a storage immortal artifact. In addition, Tang Ao saw that the little fellow was also wearing an artifact armor made of fire silk. It looked like it had packed its things and was ready to go on a long journey. Seeing it like this, Tang Ao secretly laughed in his heart and said, "I will call you Little Flame in the future. Let's go." Tang Ao took out 10 fire spirit pearls and put them into the little fellow's bracelet. Moreover, Tang Ao found that after this little fellow ate the fire spirit pearls, its cultivation had improved a lot. Although Little Flame's aura was still a little weak, as the innate fire origin's aura, it was able to swallow the fire spirit pearls, which made Tang Ao feel ashamed. Tang Ao brought Little Flame to an empty place. Tang Ao estimated that the Netherworld Flame's advancement would cause a commotion, so Tang Ao threw out many array flags and set up a shielding array. After everything was ready, Tang Ao summoned the Netherworld Flame and let it float in front of him. He then took out the Earth Fire Essence Flame. After feeling the Earth Fire Essence Flame, the Netherworld Flame rolled up and engulfed the whole piece of Earth Fire Essence Flame. Then, Tang Ao saw the Netherworld Flame burning fiercely, and the surrounding temperature suddenly rose. Tang Ao's forehead was soon covered in sweat. Little Flame, who was lazily eating the Fire Spirit Pearl, saw the change of the Netherworld Flame and immediately brightened up. It then climbed up and walked in front of Tang Ao, pointing at the Netherworld Flame and then at its stomach. Tang Ao was speechless. This little thing actually wanted to eat the Netherworld Flame. Immediately, Tang Ao patted its little head and said, "This is the flame I use to refine elixirs. You can't eat it. Go and play." After sending Little Flame away, Tang Ao looked at the Netherworld Flame nervously. After all, it was Tang Ao's first time evolving a flame. Moreover, Tang Ao had a piece of holy yang stone with him. In other words, as long as there were no accidents, Tang Ao would be able to witness the birth of a grade 9 spirit fire with his own eyes. In the lava cave, the Netherworld Flame's aura continued to rise. The Earth Fire Essence Flame within the Netherworld Flame was also shrinking. 4 hours later, the Earth Fire Essence Flame was completely refined by the Netherworld Flame. At this time, Tang Ao could clearly feel that the Netherworld Flame was now a grade 3 spirit fire. Although the Earth Fire Essence Flame was not bad, its grade was too low. It was a second-grade immortal material. However, the holy yang stone that the Netherworld Flame was going to devour was a true grade 3 immortal material. After adjusting his state, Tang Ao took out the holy yang stone. However, it was completely different from what Tang Ao had imagined. This time, not only did the Netherworld Flame not devour the holy yang stone, it even seemed to be afraid of it. This made Tang Ao speechless. As a future grade 9 spirit fire, or even a grade 9 immortal fire, the Netherworld Flame didn't even dare to devour a single immortal material. This was simply too embarrassing for Tang Ao. With a thought from Tang Ao, the Netherworld Flame wrapped around the sacred yang stone. Under Tang Ao's control, the Netherworld Flame also began to refine the holy yang stone. However, the process of the Netherworld Flame refining the holy yang stone was not as smooth. Tang Ao controlled the evolved Netherworld Flame and continued refining it for an hour, but there was no change to the holy yang stone. On the other hand, the holy yang stone attracted Little Flame to the point of drooling. It kept extending its little claws, wanting to grab the holy yang stone in the Netherworld Flame. Chapter 1936. Tang Ao was speechless. With this speed, it would take at least 10 days to half a month for the Netherworld Flame to refine the holy sunstone. Not to mention 10 days to half a month, Tang Ao could not even wait for a day. Previously in the 100 Treasure Tower, Tang Ao had already promised Yunluan that he would give her the spirit pill tomorrow. Although Tang Ao already had the ability to refine the spirit pill, without a suitable flame, it would be impossible for Tang Ao to refine it. Of course, if Tang Ao's cultivation was extremely high, then Tang Ao could use his spiritual power or immortal spiritual power to condense an inner flame to refine the spirit pill. As his cultivation increased, the inner flame that was condensed would be even more powerful. However, the current Tang Ao did not have to think too much. If he wanted to use his own alchemy flame to refine the immortal pellet, other than some talented warriors or warriors who had awakened a special life spirit, it would be impossible for him to do so without the cultivation of the astral reaching realm. Right now, Tang Ao's cultivation had only recovered to the first level of the Sea of Souls realm. He was still miles away from the astral reaching realm. As if it knew that Tang Ao was in trouble, Little Flame once again came to Tang Ao's side. However, this time, it clearly knew that Tang Ao would not let it eat the Holy Sunstone. Therefore, Little Flame only spat out a ball of light golden flame onto the netherworld flame. This ball of light golden flame quickly merged with the netherworld flame. Seeing Little Flame's action, Tang Ao was stunned for a moment, then a happy expression appeared on his face. This was because after the golden flame spat out by Little Flame merged with the netherworld flame, the netherworld flame suddenly became extremely violent, just like a volcano eruption. Under the berserk burning of the netherworld flames, the sacred sunstone that had been unable to refine finally showed some reaction. With the sky polar eyes, Tang Ao could see that the surface of the holy sunstone was filled with tiny cracks. Previously, there was no reaction after burning it for 2 hours. Now, it only took a few breaths of time to achieve this effect. Naturally, Tang Ao was very satisfied. "Little guy, you did well." Tang Ao praised Little Flame generously and took out 2 fire spirit pearls from his storage ring for Little Flame. After obtaining the fire spirit pearl, Little Flame didn't even bother to be courteous with Tang Ao. He immediately grabbed a fire spirit pearl, and with a crunch sound, the fire spirit pearl was crushed by this little fellow. Tang Ao then heard the little fellow putting the fire spirit pearl into its mouth and chewing on it with crunching sounds. Tang Ao was speechless. As a first-grade immortal material, the fire spirit pearl's hardness was extremely high. Even if Tang Ao were to use the Battle Sage Bone Life Soul to punch with all his might, he might not be able to shatter the Fire Spirit Pearl. But right now, Little Flame was eating the Fire Spirit Pearl like it was a jelly bean, chewing it up and eating it. Tang Ao could only say that this little thing's teeth were so good that even the tough Fire Spirit Pearl was nothing in front of it. Not continuing to look at Little Flame, Tang Ao's gaze returned to the netherworld flame. After absorbing and refining the earth fire essence, the netherworld flame had already advanced to become a third-grade spirit fire. Right now, as long as this holy sunstone was refined, the netherworld flame would become a 9th-grade spirit fire, a powerful existence second only to the immortal fire. However, refining the holy sunstone was not easy. Chapter 1937. Seeing Tang Ao's gaze, Little Flame, who was lying lazily on the ground, immediately became spirited. Little Flame seemed to already know what Tang Ao was going to do. Thus, Little Flame did not waste any words and directly pointed at Tang Ao's storage ring with its little paw. Its meaning was self-evident. This little fellow was obviously very principled. He would only work if he was given benefits. Tang Ao did not know whether to laugh or cry as he patted Little Flame's head. Subsequently, Tang Ao simply took out all the fire spirit pearls and placed them into the bracelet on Little Flame's wrist. He then said to it, "Little fellow, now that all the fire spirit pearls are yours, this sacred sunstone is yours. Hurry up and spit out the fire." Tang Ao said as he patted Little Flame's little belly. After Little Flame received so many fire spirit pearls from Tang Ao, its eyes lit up. Soon after, Tang Ao saw the little fellow's belly slowly bulging up. At the same time, a terrifying aura was also brewing in Little Flame's mouth. As time passed, the aura became increasingly terrifying. Finally, when the aura was brewed to an extreme, Tang Ao saw a millstone-sized golden fireball being spat out by the little fellow. When he recalled that this little fellow had only spat out a fist-sized fireball, Tang Ao was extremely speechless. This little fellow really did not learn good things at such a young age, and only knew how to extort others. However, little Flame was indeed worthy of being the manifestation of the innate fire essence. The Nether Flame was unable to do anything to the Holy Sunstone, but under Little Flame's golden flames, it was like snow falling into a pot of boiling oil. The refining speed instantly increased by tens of times. At this moment, the sacred Sunstone was being refined at a speed visible to the naked eye in the Netherworld flame. As the sacred Sunstone slowly fused into the Netherworld flame, the aura of the Netherworld flame suddenly rose. After seeing this scene, Tang Ao was relieved. At this rate, the Netherworld flame would be able to completely refine the sacred Sunstone in 4 hours at most. It had been almost 10 years since Tang Ao left the Black-Yellow continent. He wondered how Uncle Fu in Limestone City was doing during these 10 years. At the same time, he also wanted to know if his fellow disciples of the Seven Kills sect were doing well. And La Kale, which plane did she go to? Can I still find her? Or rather, when would he be able to meet her again? This world was way too vast. Even if it was Tang Ao in his previous life, who had the cultivation of peak level 9 astral reaching realm, it would only be a drop in the ocean. Even at the level of Emperor Hades and the others, it wasn't the end of cultivation. After coming out of Great Dream Dao Master's Dao Palace, Tang Ao understood that even Dao Masters could fall. The path of martial arts seemed to have no beginning, no end, and no limit. As he lamented his own insignificance, Tang Ao became even more resolute in his heart. No matter what, he had to reach the peak of the martial Dao in this lifetime. Regardless of whether it was Origin Magnetic Dao Lord or anyone else blocking his way, Tang Ao had to eliminate all obstacles and climb to the peak of martial arts. With these thoughts in mind, Tang Ao suddenly decided to lighten up. It was as if the heavy burden that had been pressing down on him had vanished into thin air in an instant. This feeling was very mysterious. Tang Ao felt as if he had grasped onto something. Tang Ao knew that this state was the easiest to comprehend. Therefore, Tang Ao hurriedly operated the 7 Kills Divine Dao and began to deduce the third sword. Chapter 1938. After operating the 7 Killing Divine Path, Tang Ao's mental strength came to a gray space. Tang Ao was naturally familiar with this place. After all, the first 2 sword moves of Tang Ao's 7 Killing Divine Path had been derived from this place. With a thought, Tang Ao's Green Lotus Sword soul appeared instantly. Then, the 7 Green Lotus swords combined into one and appeared in Tang Ao's right hand. Tang Ao's eyes narrowed, and the long sword in his hand danced. In an instant, a sword net flew out from Tang Ao's hand. The sword net was formed by countless sword chi. As long as the sword chi was in front of it, it would instantly become riddled with holes. This sword move was the first sword move of the 7 Killing Divine Path, Wind and Cloud Slaughter. After performing the first sword move, Tang Ao leaped and retracted his sword momentum. After landing, Tang Ao's body pressed down slightly. The surrounding Yuan Qi surged wildly, constantly gathering on the Green Lotus sword. Suddenly, lightning constantly gathered on the Green Lotus sword. Under the constant gathering of the lightning, Tang Ao's right hand seemed to be unable to control the Green Lotus sword and began to tremble slightly. However, Tang Ao did not stop gathering Yuan Qi. After a long time, when Tang Ao felt that he had reached a limit, Tang Ao narrowed his eyes and immediately swung his sword. Then, a huge crescent-shaped sword chi slashed out from the Green Lotus sword and flashed into the void ahead. Wherever it passed, the surrounding space was left with traces. After slashing out with this sword move, the Yuan Qi in Tang Ao's body was instantly consumed by 70%. From this, it was not difficult to see how powerful this sword move was. However, because all of this happened in the Sea of Consciousness, with a thought from Tang Ao, the exhausted Yuan Qi was instantly replenished, and Tang Ao once again returned to his peak state. Then, Tang Ao seriously operated the 7-killing divine path, and began to derive the third sword move. For a moment, the entire sea of consciousness was filled with sword chi and sword shadows. Tang Ao was completely immersed in this deduction and simply could not feel the passage of time in the outside world. At the peak of the Flying Star Cliff, there was a very luxurious building complex. This was the headquarters of the Flying Star Alliance on the Flying Star continent. It was also the place where the Lu clan's warriors lived and cultivated. At this moment, in the Lu clan's meeting hall, Lu Chuanjia was seated with a slight frown. On the left of Lu Chuanjia was a white-haired youth holding a folding fan. If Tang Ao was here, he would naturally be able to recognize this white-haired youth as Shi Yun. Although Lu Chuanjia did not look as strong as before, Ao knew that he was definitely not young. He was at least an old monster who had cultivated for 10,000 years. Sitting on Lu Chuanjia's left was a middle-aged man whose body was surging with blood energy. Tang Ao also knew this middle-aged man. He was Shui Vulture, who had chased after Tang Ao previously. Apart from these two, the other 3 of the 5 Lu clan elders and Lu Xingjin were also present. Duan Rui, is what you said true? Although Lu Chuanjia had received some news one after another, what Duan Rui said just now still surprised Lu Chuanjia. Duan Rui was the second son of the Duan clan's patriarch, Duan Qingyang. Although he was the second son, he was smart and had amazing martial arts talent. Therefore, Duan Qingyang liked him very much. Chapter 1939. In other words, in less than half a day, Tang Ao had killed 4 peak 6th level origin martial realm martial artists in succession. Most importantly, of the fallen star tokens that Lu Chuanjia and the others were most concerned about, 4 of them were already in Tang Ao's hands. Although the whereabouts of the other 2 fallen star tokens were still unknown, there was a great chance that they were in Tang Ao's hands. Mr. Shi, Tang Ao has already obtained the fallen star tokens before us. What should we do? Although Shi Yun's body did not seem to have any origin energy fluctuation, Lu Chuanjia did not dare to look down on him. In Lu Chuanjia's opinion, Shi Yun must have used some method to conceal his cultivation. Otherwise, he would not have been nearly killed in one move. However, Lu Chuanjia's knowledge was limited. He did not know that the reason why Shi Yun was able to do that was because Lu Chuanjia was inside Shi Yun's immortal talisman. Once he left the immortal talisman, Shi Yun would be suppressed by the rules of the Flying Star continent. Therefore, Shi Yun was really just an ordinary person. However, if someone attacked Shi Yun at this time, he could instantly summon the immortal talisman and cover the enemy. Although Shi Yun's cultivation was still suppressed inside the immortal talisman, he could display the power of a spiritual sea realm expert without any problem. In addition, Lu Chuanjia knew that the guy wearing a blood-red robe sitting in front of Shi Yun was also a ruthless character. Before, Lu Chuanjia had personally seen this person fight against Shi Yun. Although Shi Yun could suppress this person, he could not kill this guy. And Lu Chuanjia could not even withstand one move from Shi Yun. With such a comparison, the difference in strength was clear. Although Lu Chuanjia did not understand why so many powerful experts suddenly appeared on the Flying Star continent, this matter was not important at the moment. What Lu Chuanjia was most interested in right now was to leave the Flying Star continent and go to other continents with spirit energy to continue cultivating. Ever since he knew about the existence of spirit energy and even immortal spirit energy, Lu Chuanjia could not sit still. Lu Chuanjia could cultivate to his current level on the Flying Star continent by relying on origin energy. Naturally, he knew that origin energy and spirit energy could not be mentioned in the same breath. At this moment, Lu Chuanjia was very regretful in his heart. If he had known that the fallen star tokens were used to activate the ancient formation on the Flying Star Cliff, he would have already taken back the fallen star tokens from the big powers. However, it was too late to regret it now because the fallen star tokens had all fallen into Tang Ao's hands. At this moment, Tang Ao's cultivation was beyond his expectations. Lu Chuanjia felt that even he might not be a match for Tang Ao. Alliance Master Lu, why are you in such a hurry? Even if Tang Ao obtains 6 fallen star tokens, as long as the remaining 2 are still in my hands, the ancient formation won't be able to be activated. In addition, the ancient formation is on the Flying Star Cliff. If Tang Ao wants to use the Falling Star token, he must come to the Flying Star Cliff. Sure, Ting Yun also knew that he had misjudged this time. This Tang Ao was obviously not simple. Otherwise, he would not have collected the Fallen Star tokens of the 4 major factions so decisively. Mr. Sure means that we should ambush Tang Ao around the ancient formation? This time, the one who asked the question was the eldest of the 5 Lu family elders, Lu Renyi. The 5 Lu family elders had been together for many years and had deep feelings for each other. Now that he heard that Lu Renwu and Lu Renzi had died tragically at the hands of Tang Ao, Lu Ren wished he could swallow Tang Ao whole. Chapter 1940. Let's do it that way. Shui Vulture nodded. Sure, Yun was right. The most important thing at the moment was to open this ancient grand formation as soon as possible. As for other matters, everything else could be discussed. Shui Vulture wasn't clear about the others, but he would never let Tang Ao off. Especially since his great overarching blood net was still in Shui Hen's hands. The great overarching blood net was his natal immortal weapon. Naturally, he wouldn't give it up. As for the news that Tang Ao had broken through to the Sea of Soul Realm, Shui Vulture didn't care about it at all. Although Tang Ao had already cultivated to the Sea of Soul Realm, with Shui Vulture and Sure Yun here, it would be useless for Tang Ao to cultivate to the Sea of Soul Realm. Shui Vulture didn't expect that there would be another chaotic heaven realm expert in the Flying Star continent apart from him. While they were talking about Tang Ao was still in the Earth Firestone ruins. In the depths of the Earth Firestone ruins, Tang Ao was sitting cross-legged quietly. At this moment, Tang Ao had completely forgotten about the time of the outside world. He was in a very mysterious state of enlightenment. After a long time, Tang Ao suddenly opened his eyes. At the same time, his face revealed a trace of joy. Tang Ao jumped up from the ground. Then, with a thought, the Azure Lotus Sword Soul instantly floated behind Tang Ao. Tang Ao waved his hand, and the Azure Lotus Sword Soul combined into one. It turned into a green light and appeared in Tang Ao's hand. Then, Tang Ao held the Azure Lotus Sword and brandished it. Tang Ao's figure moved and stabbed out 4 times in a flash. Then, a natural sword momentum suddenly took shape. Tang Ao took advantage of this momentum and stabbed out several times. In an instant, Tang Ao's figure suddenly disappeared, leaving behind a terrifying sword chi in front of Tang Ao. These sword chi streaked across the sky and seemed to tear the void apart. The sword chi was like a dancing phoenix, but this beautiful dance was accompanied by death. After the sword chi phoenix disappeared, Tang Ao let out a long sigh. He sheathed his sword and stood still. The 3rd sword of the 7 Slaughter Divine Tao, Phoenix Dances Through the 9 Heavens, had been completed. Tang Ao was still rather excited. Tang Ao had not expected that this trip to the Earth Firestone ruins would yield such a great harvest. There was no need to say that the Netherworld flame could advance continuously, but Tang Ao never thought that he would be able to obtain the innate fire source aura. Other than that, Tang Ao had finally mastered the 3rd sword of the 7 Slaughter Divine Path. Hard work was important in cultivating the 7 Kills Divine Path, but it was more important to have an epiphany at a specific time. Tang Ao had been cultivating the 7 Slaughter Sacred Way for a long time. He had even cultivated it to the height of the life and death realm. However, when Tang Ao cultivated to the life and death realm, he did not sense the existence of the 7-killing Sage Dao's third sword. With a thought, the azure lotus sword soul in Tang Ao's hand slowly disappeared. At this moment, after comprehending the third sword, Tang Ao's 7 slaughter sacred way was considered to be at the small success stage. Tang Ao knew that the frequency of the azure lotus sword soul would increase in future battles. Therefore, he had to think of a way to raise the grade of the azure lotus sword soul if he had the chance. Although the Emperor Jade platform in his soul sea was constantly nourishing his life soul, Tang Ao really did not know how long it would take for his life soul to advance just by relying on the Emperor Jade platform's nourishment. After putting away the azure lotus sword soul, Tang Ao saw that little flame was already lying on a rock and sleeping soundly. Chapter 1941. Although it looked calm, Tang Ao could feel that the current nether flame was completely different from before. At this moment, the netherworld flame was emitting a very powerful aura. If he used the current nether flame to refine the holy yang stone, Tang Ao estimated that even without little flame's help, the nether flame would be able to completely refine the holy yang stone within an hour. One had to know that when the nether flame refined the holy yang stone, the holy yang stone did not have much of a reaction even after 4 hours. After successfully upgrading the nether flame to a grade 9 spiritual fire, Tang Ao did not leave the place immediately. Instead, he took out the immortal spirit herbs needed to concoct the spirit pills. That's right. Tang Ao did not take out the spiritual herbs, but the immortal spirit herbs. In the black-yellow continent there was basically no immortal spirit herbs. However, in a special place like the Flying Star continent, although there was no spiritual qi, the immortal spirit herbs were able to grow. Although Tang Ao was confident that he could concoct a Tier 1 immortal pill after his soul sea had completely recovered, this was the first time Tang Ao was concocting a Tier 1 immortal pill. It was impossible for him not to be nervous. After taking a deep breath, Tang Ao sat down and adjusted his condition. At this moment, Tang Ao only had one set of the spirit herbs needed to concoct the spirit pills. In other words, he only had one chance to concoct the pills. Of course, the Evergreen Valley even had a heaven-defying spiritual herb like the 3 Treasures Blood Lotus. Therefore, as long as he was willing to spend some time, it would not be a problem to gather a few sets of spirit herbs to concoct the spirit pills. However, Tang Ao did not have that much time to search for spirit herbs in the Evergreen Valley. Ever since he was injured in the underworld Emperor Mystic realm, Tang Ao's martial techniques, life spirit, alchemy techniques, arrays, and many other aspects had improved. However, Tang Ao's cultivation had only recovered to the first level of the Sea of Souls realm. Tang Ao could not continue to stay in the Flying Star continent. There were indeed many treasures in the Flying Star continent. However, the Flying Star continent was not suitable for cultivation. Strictly speaking, not only the Flying Star continent, but even the Black-Yellow continent was not suitable for cultivation. Only those plains with immortal spiritual qi were the most suitable for martial artists to cultivate. It was just that there were too few such places. Furthermore, in plains with immortal spirit qi, the cultivation of martial artists would generally be very strong. The demonic beasts would also be abnormally ferocious. The competition for cultivation resources would only become more intense. However, Tang Ao was not afraid at all. The path of martial arts was about constantly overcoming obstacles and overcoming obstacles. If one was afraid of danger and stopped moving forward, then one might as well not cultivate at all. One could just be an ordinary person and live an ordinary and happy life. After adjusting to his best condition, Tang Ao took out the Shinnon cauldron. There were a total of 9 layers of powerful restrictions on the Shinnon cauldron. So far, Tang Ao had only refined to the 2nd layer. After thinking for a moment, Tang Ao was ready to try refining the 3rd layer of the Shinnon cauldron. For ordinary martial artists, refining the restrictions on immortal equipment was closely related to their cultivation. However, Tang Ao was a little special. Tang Ao had the 9 Dragon Emperor's jade body. Therefore, Tang Ao had a soul C that other martial artists did not have. After Tang Ao's soul C had completely recovered, Tang Ao's psyche easily arrived at the location of the 3rd layer of restrictions. At that moment, Tang Ao felt that there was a mysterious force in the Shennon cauldron that was preventing Tang Ao's psyche from entering. Chapter 1942. Under the attack of Tang Ao's powerful soul remembrance, the restrictions on the Shennon cauldron were slowly being worn away by Tang Ao's soul remembrance. Although it was much better than before, it still did not reach the effect that Tang Ao had hoped for. However, Tang Ao did not dare to hope for too much. After all, his cultivation was only at the 1st level of the Sea of Souls realm. Tang Ao was not too worried about his cultivation. After plundering the great Dream Dao Lord's treasury, Tang Ao could be considered a nouveau riche. Right now, in the chaotic 6 light mirror space, top-rank spirit stones were piled up like garbage. Even the extreme-rank spirit stones had piled up into a few mountains. Any one of these mountains would probably be more than the entire black-yellow continent's total extreme-rank spirit stones. Therefore, as long as he could return to the black-yellow continent or a place with spirit chi, Tang Ao could immediately use these extreme-rank spirit stones to increase his cultivation. Even when Tang Ao was at the peak of the 9th level of the astral reaching realm in his previous life, Tang Ao's wealth was not even 1/10,000th of what it was now. From this, it was not hard to see how rich Tang Ao was now. To say that Tang Ao's wealth could rival a country was simply looking down on Tang Ao. This was because Tang Ao's wealth had already exceeded the sum of all the treasures in the continent. As time passed, the restrictions on the Shennon cauldron were slowly worn away by Tang Ao. Although his speed was slow, Tang Ao estimated that he would need at most half a day to break the 3rd layer of the Shennon cauldron's restriction. Thinking that it would take another half a day, Tang Ao could only force a smile. Before, Tang Ao had promised to hand over the spirit pills to Yun Luan. But now, he knew that he had made a big promise. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Previously, Tang Ao did not think that refining the earth fire marrow with the netherworld flame would be so easy, but refining the holy sunstone would be so difficult. Fortunately, the nether flame had completely absorbed and refined the Xingyang stone and became a grade 9 spiritual fire. The 3rd layer of restriction on the Shennon cauldron was also about to be refined. Overall, Tang Ao's trip was not in vain. In the long wait, Tang Ao suddenly heard a crisp kacha sound. After probing the Shennon cauldron with his soul remembrance, Tang Ao immediately showed a happy expression. The 3rd layer of the Shennon cauldron had finally been grinded open. After breaking through the 3rd restriction, Tang Ao glanced at the 4th restriction. Tang Ao then withdrew his soul remembrance without much interest. With Tang Ao's current strength, breaking the Shennon cauldron's 3rd layer was already a stroke of luck. If he wanted to refine the Shennon cauldron's 4th layer, he would be overestimating himself. After breaking the 3rd layer of the Shennon cauldron, Tang Ao immediately started to refine the spirit pill. This cauldron of pills was the first batch of immortal pills that Tang Ao was refining. Tang Ao's preparations were very thorough. The spirit pill's pill recipe and the things to take note of during the refining process were already memorized by Tang Ao. At the same time, Tang Ao changed the flame used to refine the pill from the lowest grade pill fire to a grade 9 spiritual fire. He also refined an additional layer of the Shennon cauldron's restriction. Now, everything was ready except for the final push. After taking out the 13 immortal herbs used to refine the spirit pill, Tang Ao began to carefully clean the immortal herbs. Normally speaking, this step was unnecessary. This was because during the pill refining process, the terrifying temperature of the pill fire was enough to turn any dust into nothingness. However, this was Tang Ao's first time refining an immortal pill. Tang Ao only hoped that everything would be perfect so that he could succeed in one go. Chapter 1943. Stalk after stalk of immortal herbs were thrown into the furnace by Tang Ao. The netherworld flame wrapped around the immortal herbs. In the farmer god cauldron, there were now 13 balls of netherworld flame. In every ball of netherworld flame, there was an immortal herb that was being refined. Under the calcination of the netherworld flame, drops of crystal-clear spirit grass essence were refined out. At this moment, Tang Ao's mind was completely immersed in alchemy. Beside Tang Ao, Little Flame had already woken up. It was obvious that the little fellow had eaten too many fire spirit pearls earlier, which was why its stomach was so bloated. After refining all the fire spirit pearls, its stomach was deflated. Little Flame saw Tang Ao sitting in front of the farmer god cauldron refining elixirs, but it didn't seem to understand the process of refining elixirs. The netherworld flame that was slowly burning in the farmer god cauldron made Little Flame feel that it was very delicious. Little Flame tiptoed in front of Tang Ao and used its paw to pat Tang Ao. It then pointed at its stomach, obviously telling Tang Ao that it was hungry. But Tang Ao was completely immersed in refining elixirs and didn't notice that the little fellow had woken up. Seeing that Tang Ao was ignoring it, Little Flame made a face at Tang Ao and walked to the side, taking out another fire spirit pearl to eat. With the previous experience, Little Flame only ate 2 fire spirit pearls this time and didn't continue eating. Seeing that Tang Ao was still refining pills, Little Flame jumped into the magma and happily searched for the earth fire essence flame within the magma. Compared to the fire spirit pearl, the quality of the earth fire essence was slightly lower, but in Little Flame's mind, there was never too much. Thus, Little Flame dived into the depths of the lava and began to search for the earth fire essence. In the farmer god cauldron, 13 balls of netherworld flame floated quietly. Within the netherworld flame, there were lumps of clear medicinal liquid essence. After extracting all of the medicinal essences from the immortal herbs, Tang Ao began to fuse them together and condense them into pills. Perhaps it was because Tang Ao's preparation was very sufficient, or perhaps it was because Tang Ao's state of alchemy this time was very good, but until now, Tang Ao's alchemy process was very smooth, without any mistakes. The spirit pill was a Tier 1 immortal pill, and there were 3 pills in total. At this moment, the embryonic form of 3 pills slowly appeared in the Shenong cauldron. Without any mishaps, Tang Ao could hardly believe that the refinement had gone so smoothly this time. However, just as the elixir was about to be refined, Tang Ao suddenly had a feeling that this furnace of elixir seemed to be lacking something. Tang Ao could clearly feel that this furnace of pills was lacking something, but Tang Ao didn't know what exactly it was that this furnace of pills was lacking. Tang Ao was sure that if he continued refining, he would definitely be able to successfully refine this batch of pills. In fact, the grade of the pills wouldn't be low. They would at least be mid-grade or even high-grade pills. However, Tang Ao had a feeling that if he could add in what he was missing, Tang Ao would be able to refine a unique grade pill. Tang Ao immediately began to recall the description of the spirit pill in the Shenong Emperor's note. However, even after Tang Ao recalled it several times, Tang Ao still couldn't find any records of this in the Shenong Emperor's note. If one were to say that the Shenong Emperor didn't know that the spirit pill refined this way wasn't perfect, Tang Ao would never believe it. Chapter 1944. However, Tang Ao couldn't understand why the Shenong Emperor didn't have any records about this in his alchemy note. Tang Ao was sure that the Shenong Emperor's inheritance that he had obtained was absolutely complete. Because of this, Tang Ao was very puzzled. Suddenly, Tang Ao noticed a sentence: "Spirit pill is a good product." However, medicine is 30% poisonous. Only vitality can cure it. This was not the first time that Tang Ao had seen this sentence in the Shennong Emperor's notes about the spirit pill. However, Tang Ao had always treated this sentence as nonsense and just glanced at it. But now, Tang Ao suddenly realized that there was a hidden mystery in this sentence. After reading it carefully, one could see that the Shennong Emperor's evaluation of the spirit pill was very high. However, the Shennong Emperor also felt helpless that medicine was 30% poisonous. Regarding this problem, the Shennong Emperor's solution was to use vitality to solve it. Thinking about this, Tang Ao's brain suddenly flashed. That's right, the thing that my furnace of pills lacks is vitality. The spirit pill was originally used to nourish a remnant soul. For a remnant soul, what was the thing that it lacked the most? Of course, it was vitality. In the Yunluan Palace in the northern part of the Flying Star continent, Yunluan's face had 2 lines of tears. This was a very cold underground palace. The surroundings were filled with ice that wouldn't melt for thousands of years. In the middle of the underground palace, there was a cold jade bed. At this moment, on the cold jade bed, there was a beautiful woman who looked similar to Yunluan. This woman was Yunluan's aunt. If one carefully thought about it, Yunluan had been asleep for 81 years. When Yunluan was asleep, Yunluan's aunt told her that if she couldn't find an alchemist that could refine the spirit pill within 81 years, then Yunluan would have to learn how to take care of herself and never leave the Flying Star continent. At that time, the young Yunluan didn't understand what her aunt meant. But as Yunluan's cultivation grew stronger, some of her sealed memories were discovered by Yunluan. At this moment, Yunluan had basically figured out her identity. Yunluan and her aunt were not originally warriors of the Feishing continent. Instead, they were from a place called the Purple Cloud Domain. Yunluan's father was the Purple Cloud Realm's realm lord, the Purple Cloud Emperor. Back then, the Purple Cloud Realm was besieged by the 3 neighboring martial realms and was about to be destroyed. Hence, the Violet Cloud Emperor sent all his children to other planes. Yunluan was sent to the Feishing continent by her aunt. Currently, Yunluan did not know the situation of the Purple Cloud Domain, but she knew that if the Purple Cloud Domain was destroyed, then the realm lords of the other 3 major martial domains would certainly not let go of the descendants of the Purple Cloud Emperor. Therefore, once Yunluan's identity was exposed, Yunluan might not even have the chance to reincarnate. Because of this, her aunt did not allow her to leave the Feishing continent. Ka-cha! Yunluan, who was silently weeping beside the chilled jade bed, suddenly heard a crisp sound. Immediately, Yunluan's gaze turned to the sleeping aunt on the chilled jade bed. At this moment, Yunxi's aura was extremely weak. However, after the profound ice on her body shattered, Yunxi still woke up. Poochie! After waking up, Yunxi immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Immediately, her originally weak aura became even weaker. Feeling the state of her body, Yunxi was not disappointed. Instead, she was extremely happy to see Yunluan grow into a slender and elegant young girl. Aunt, you're awake. Seeing Yunxi wake up, Yunluan was extremely happy. Originally, yesterday was the last day of the 81-year period. Yesterday, Tang Ao should have delivered the pills. However, what made Yunluan despair was that not only did Tang Ao not appear, he had completely disappeared. At this moment, there were many people searching for Tang Ao. However, even the all-pervasive 9-colored Deer Merchant Guild's information network was unable to find any information on Tang Ao. Chapter 1945. Silly girl, what are you crying for? Seeing that you have grown up, you do not know how happy I am. Yunxi's aura was extremely weak. After saying this, Yunxi started coughing violently. At the same time, her life force was rapidly fading away. Yunxi knew that even though she was a yin-yang realm warrior, she had reached the end of her lifespan. However, Yunshi was not sad at all. She was just a bit regretful that she would never be able to see this little girl again. Inside the Earth Firestone ruins, Tang Ao did not know what had happened in the Cloud Phoenix Palace. However, Tang Ao's eyes were filled with excitement, because in front of Tang Ao, there were 3 crystal-clear spirit pellets floating quietly. Each of the pellets had 3 light golden patterns, which meant that they were all special rank spirit pellet. This meant that Tang Ao had done the right thing. What the spirit pellets lacked was life force. The little guy is gone. Although he could not see where Little Flame was, Tang Ao could still sense that his aura was nearby. Sure enough, after hearing Tang Ao's words, Little Flame also popped out from the lava not far away. Tang Ao was a bit speechless. Even with the protection of the Battle Saint Bone Life Spirit, Tang Ao did not dare to stay in the lava for a long time. But Little Flame, this fellow, was like a fish in water in the boiling magma, extremely happy. The aura of the innate fire origin was indeed extraordinary. At this moment, Tang Ao was preparing to find Blood Scar. Although he now had another way to leave the Flying Star continent, he had finally managed to control Blood Scar. Of course, Tang Ao would not let him off easily, since Blood Scar used to be a peak level 9 astral reaching realm warrior like him. Since the two of them were sworn enemies, Tang Ao knew about Blood Scar's abilities. As long as he could make the 3 treasure Blood Lotus pellet, Blood Scar would immediately become an astral reaching realm warrior's free fighter. It would be a waste for Tang Ao to not have this kind of hard labor. Above the Blood Wasteland, a purple thunder flashed across the sky. Its speed was so fast that it was shocking. After the appearance of the Blood Wasteland, more than 70% of the martial artists in the Flying Star continent had come here to look for opportunities. Therefore, many of the martial artists' cultivation was much higher than before. At the moment, there was naturally not only Tang Ao flying in the sky. However, after seeing Tang Ao's sharp aura and shocking speed, everyone made way, not daring to touch him. Some of the martial artists on the ground looked up, secretly guessing how powerful Tang Ao's cultivation was. Some cultivators even cupped their fists towards Tang Ao, who was flying through the sky. After all, in the world of martial arts, the strong were respected. Warriors like Tang Ao would definitely be respected. Tang Ao's destination was the Chimen-Duanjia formation. Blood Scar and Lu Yu were still in the formation. Since he was ready to leave the Flying Star continent, Tang Ao naturally had to take them with him. After arriving at the location of the Chi-Duanjia array, Tang Ao took out the tortoise shell he had obtained before. This Chi-Duanjia array did not have a strong offensive power, but it was a very powerful trapping array. This tortoise shell had been in Tang Ao's possession for a long time. Before, Tang Ao had not discovered that this tortoise shell had 3 layers of restrictions. Before, Tang Ao had only refined the first layer, so he could freely control this array. Looking at the remaining 2 layers, Tang Ao secretly guessed, could this be a killing array? Chapter 1946. As Tang Ao took out the tortoiseshell and slashed at the void, a barrier entrance in front of Tang Ao slowly opened. After the barrier opened, Tang Ao's figure flashed and he entered the Chimen-Duanjia formation. After entering, Tang Ao went straight to the straw hut in the center of the lake. However, what surprised Tang Ao was that he didn't find Xuehen or Lu Yu in the straw hut. Tang Ao could see that almost all the high-level spiritual herbs in the surroundings had been dug up. Upon seeing this, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It was as if his house had been robbed. Soon, Tang Ao arrived at the straw hut. Then, Tang Ao saw a jade slip on the table. Sensing the yuan qi fluctuations on the jade slip, Tang Ao knew that this jade slip had been left behind by Xuehen. Immediately, Tang Ao picked up the jade slip and scanned it with his soul remembrance. Then, Xuehen's voice was heard. Ha ha ha, Tang Ao, I found a space-cleaving talisman in a ruin, so I left first. You should find a way to leave this broken place yourself. After saying this, Xue Hen laughed proudly. This scene stunned Tang Ao. Tang Ao hadn't expected that Xue Hen had found a space-cleaving talisman. Although he had planted a soul imprint on Xue Hen, with Tang Ao's current cultivation, as long as Xue Hen was a little further away from Tang Ao wouldn't be able to control Xue Hen well. If Xue Hen used the space-cleaving talisman to escape, then he really wouldn't be able to control Xue Hen in the future. However, when Tang Ao thought about the fact that he hadn't refined the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus Pill for Xue Hen, he felt slightly relieved. However, Tang Ao's expression quickly changed. Tang Ao hurriedly checked the chaotic hexagram mirror space. At the place where the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus Pill had been placed, Tang Ao didn't see the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus Pill. Instead, he saw a green leaf red flower. Tang Ao almost coughed up a mouthful of blood. Xue Hen had obviously planned this beforehand. Back then, when he had entrusted the 3-treasure blood lotus flower to him for safekeeping, he had used the green leaf red flower to replace the 3-treasure blood lotus flower. Due to the blood qi, the aura of the green leaf red flower and the 3 treasures blood lotus was almost exactly the same. Moreover, at that time, Tang Ao wouldn't think of using the heavenly pole eyes to check whether the triple blood lotus was real or not. Most importantly, Tang Ao didn't expect Blood Scar to be so crafty. At that time, he had already started thinking of how to break free from his soul remembrance. Previously, Tang Ao knew that Blood Scar and Lu Yu had a chance. Now, not only did they have a chance, but they were also on the same side. Moreover, Tang Ao knew that with Lu Yu's alchemy skills, it would not be a problem for him to help Xue Hen refine the 3 treasures blood lotus pill. Right now, the main immortal herb, the Tri-Treasure Blood Lotus Pill, was in Xue Hen's hands. Moreover, Xue Hen had colluded with Lu Yu. It would be strange if Xue Hen didn't run away. However, when Xue Hen used the space-breaking talisman to leave this place, the world he went to was not fixed. Therefore, once Xue Hen left, it wouldn't be easy for Tang Ao to find him again. After smiling helplessly, Tang Ao started refining the tortoise shell that controlled the Chimen Duanjia formation. Other than the original patterns on the tortoise shell, there were also some incomparably mysterious runes carved on it. Tang Ao could see that these runes were an extremely ancient formation rune. Chapter 1947. Tang Ao's soul remembrance seeped into these runic arrays and began to refine the second layer of restrictions. Previously, because Tang Ao was able to control the Chimen Duanjia array after refining the first layer of restrictions, Tang Ao didn't notice how many layers of restrictions there were on the tortoise shell. If it wasn't because he coincidentally discovered that there were 2 more layers of restrictions on the tortoise shell, Tang Ao might not even have known about this secret when he left the Flying Star continent. Outside the Cloud Luan Palace, it was snowing all year round and the air was bone-chillingly cold. However, at this moment in the Cloud Luan Palace, the weather was not only bone-chillingly cold, but also somewhat sorrowful. It was as if after something disappeared, the entire world was mourning. In the underground palace of the Cloud Luan Palace, Yun Luan looked at her aunt in a daze. Ever since she found out that the spirit pill could save her aunt, Yun Luan never gave up on searching for the spirit pill. On the Flying Star continent, as long as they had a bit of fame, they would all be invited by Yun Luan to refine the spirit pill. However, even the Pill Alliance's Alliance Master, 100 Flower Villa's 100 Flower Old Man, Leisure Villa's No. 1 Alchemist Nan Huiran, and many other peak alchemists were all invited by Yun Luan with many benefits to refine the spirit pill. However, without exception, all of them failed. Originally, Tang Ao's appearance gave Yun Luan hope. She even asked Tang Ao to refine a batch of spirit pills for her when he had the ability to do so. At that time, she resolutely declared war against the Duan family, which was also one of the 8 hegemonic powers. However, the one who gave Yun Luan hope was Tang Ao. Now, the one who made Yun Luan feel despair was also Tang Ao. 2 days ago, Tang Ao appeared at the 100 Treasures Tower with his cultivation greatly increased. Moreover, he promised to give her the spirit pill the next day. However, it was already the 3rd day and Yun Luan still hadn't seen Tang Ao's figure. Moreover, her aunt finally couldn't hold on and left her. At this moment, Yun Luan's vitality was surging. She was a yin-yang realm expert. Even though she had been weak for 1,000 years, she still had some strength left. Moreover, the Yun family had a special secret technique that could be used to pass down techniques between clansmen. Before Yunshi died, she also poured all of her remaining vital energy into Yun Luan's body, as if she had been enlightened. Yun Luan knew that her current cultivation had already reached the 3rd layer of the Sea of Souls realm. Even compared to Tang Ao, this cultivation could only be stronger, not weaker. Towards Tang Ao, Yun Luan did not hate him. She was just a little angry. Yun Luan also understood that it was impossible for an alchemist to refine the spirit pill in the Flying Star continent. Therefore, if she blamed Tang Ao like this, Tang Ao would undoubtedly be wronged. It was possible that Tang Ao himself knew that he couldn't refine the spirit pill, so he disappeared after taking the spirit grass. Yun Luan's eyes were filled with sorrow as she looked at her aunt who had completely lost her life. At this moment, Yun Luan did not want to stay on the Flying Star continent any longer. If she stayed on the Flying Star continent, she would have to hide for the rest of her life, fearing that her enemies would come after her. Moreover, once she was discovered by her enemies, she wouldn't even have the ability to protect herself with her current strength. She was going to leave the Flying Star continent for a more advanced world. Even if her identity was exposed during her cultivation, she wouldn't have any regrets. Moreover, Yun Luan felt that if her cultivation was successful, she might be able to find a way to save her aunt. She might even be able to find her parents and her lost younger siblings. Thinking about this, Yun Luan's eyes became even more determined. Chapter 1948. As for the 2nd layer of restriction, the Chimanduanjia array could evolve into another array. This array was called the Killing Array of 5 Elements, which was also a 6th-grade immortal array. After refining the 3rd layer of restriction, Tang Ao could already put the entire Chimanduanjia array into the tortoiseshell and take it out when needed in the future. What made Tang Ao a little regretful was that the Chimanduanjia array needed a longer time to be activated, so it could not be activated smoothly. Otherwise, when Tang Ao fought with an enemy in the future, he could instantly activate the Chimanduanjia array and then activate the Killing Array of 5 Elements to trap and kill the enemy. However, there was obviously no such good thing in the underground. Activating the Chimanduanjia array required a certain amount of time, so the Chimanduanjia array could not be used in a temporary battle. Of course, if Tang Ao set up the Chimanduanjia array somewhere in advance and then led the enemy in to activate the Killing Array of 5 Elements, it could naturally play a role in killing the enemy. In addition, Tang Ao also found a flaw in the Chimanduanjia array. After refining the 3rd layer of restriction, Tang Ao knew that the Chimanduanjia array could not be broken even with the space-breaking talisman. However, it was obvious that the person who set up this array did not consider that there was a special kind of martial artist who practiced blood attribute cultivation methods in this world. Therefore, the Chimanduanjia array, which could even block the space-breaking talisman, was useless in front of the martial artist who practiced blood attribute cultivation methods. If Tang Ao's array cultivation was stronger, Tang Ao could try to fix this flaw. Now, however, Tang Ao could only think about it. After putting the Chimanduanjia array into the tortoiseshell, Tang Ao immediately rushed to the extremely cold place in the north of the Facian continent. Tang Ao was a little worried because it had been a day since the appointed time with Yunwan. Tang Ao was also very helpless about this extra day. Tang Ao never expected that upgrading the netherworld flame would be so difficult. Although Tang Ao spent some time on the road to collect the Chimanduanjiao array, Tang Ao didn't even spend an hour to collect the Chimanduanjiao array. After summoning the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud, Tang Ao raised the speed of the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud to the extreme. Thunder boomed in midair, and a bolt of purple lightning streaked across the sky. This purple lightning contained an abnormally powerful aura. Under this aura, the surrounding cultivators all raised their heads to look at it. Many monster beasts were so frightened that they didn't dare to move. A monstrous beast, whose strength reached the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Realm, was originally chasing a group of martial artists. However, after sensing Tang Ao's powerful aura, the demonic beast thought that it was being provoked. Without hesitation, it abandoned Di Wenming and the others from the Dan Alliance and charged towards Tang Ao. Di Wenming and the others had already given up all hope. Encountering a demonic beast of this level, they would definitely die. However, the monstrous beast was like a cat catching mice, playing with them. That was why they didn't die until now. Although they didn't die, Di Wenming also knew that it was impossible to escape from the monstrous beast. So, he only hoped that the Dan Alliance could receive the message he sent out and take precautions against the powerful monstrous beast. Chapter 1949. Just when Di Wenming was in despair, there was a purple thunderbolt in the sky. Because the speed was too fast, Di Wenming could only vaguely see a figure on the thundercloud, but no one could see the person's face clearly. Not only Di Wenming, but the other experts around also saw it. What made them pleasantly surprised was that when this figure streaked across the sky, this stupid demonic beast actually didn't continue to chase after them. Instead, it instantly stood in front of this thundercloud. Tang Ao, who was originally in a hurry, was a little anxious. Now that a demonic beast suddenly rushed out to block the way, Tang Ao was instantly furious. Immediately, Tang Ao stabilized his body, and with a thought, the 7 green lotus swords flew out in an instant. Tang Ao opened his hand, and the 7 green lotus swords turned into 7 streams of light and fell into Tang Ao's right hand. After the demonic beast blocked the attack, it did not say any nonsense, and a destructive fireball flew towards Tang Ao. Tang Ao's eyes narrowed, and immediately his body surged with yuan qi. In the blink of an eye, countless blue thunderbolts gathered on the green lotus sword, gradually forming a very terrifying wave in the air. Everyone who originally wanted to take this opportunity to escape stopped in a daze when they saw this scene. Originally, everyone thought that the martial artist who was blocked by the demonic beast would definitely run away frantically. But what they didn't expect was that not only did this person not run away, but he also had the posture of fighting with the demonic beast. As countless thunderbolts gathered on the green lotus sword, the momentum of the green lotus sword also suddenly rose. After a while, Tang Ao no longer seemed to be holding a sword in his hand, but seemed to be holding a thunderbolt as thick as an arm. Thunder Strike! Without any hesitation, Tang Ao directly displayed the second move of the 7-killing divine path, Thunder Strike. Then, everyone was shocked to see that after Tang Ao's sword, a huge half-moon-shaped thunder arc suddenly appeared. This thunder arc seemed to be unstoppable. The lightning arcs instantly collided with the demonic beast's fireball. However, the explosive fireball that could shatter a small mountain was instantly annihilated by the lightning arcs. Then, without any resistance, the lightning sword Qi split the demonic beast in half. Bang! With a loud explosion, the incomparably powerful demonic beast had already turned into a rain of blood under Tang Ao's sword. Tang Ao! At this time, Di Wenming finally recognized Tang Ao, who was in midair. Di Wenming was extremely shocked in his heart. No matter what, Di Wenming had never imagined that Tang Ao had actually grown to such an extent. Tang Ao was so focused on speeding up that he did not notice that the one being chased by the demonic beast was actually Di Wenming. Tang Ao's impression of Zhai Wenming was quite good. As the Dan Alliance's Vice Alliance Master, Di Wenming was humble and did not put on any airs. If he had noticed that the person being chased by the demonic beast was Di Wenming, Tang Ao would have helped even if he was busy. After hearing Di Wenming's voice, Tang Ao also cupped his fists at Di Wenming in midair. Then, Tang Ao said, "Vice Alliance Master Di, I'm in time now, so I won't talk to you anymore. See you later." After saying that, Tang Ao did not continue to stay. He was originally in a hurry, but now he was delayed by a demonic beast. Di Wenming was not the least bit dissatisfied with Tang Ao's attitude. From the fact that Tang Ao was in a hurry just now, Di Wenming knew that Tang Ao must have something urgent to do. Otherwise, he would not be like this. Chapter 1950. Except for that stupid demonic beast, no other demonic beast took the initiative to attack Tang Ao. Tang Ao quickly left the Crimson Wasteland. Not long after, Tang Ao exited the Hidden Dragon Cave. This was the first time Tang Ao had left the Hidden Dragon Cave. However, Tang Ao knew that now was not the time to lament. Thus, after confirming the location of the extreme north, Tang Ao immediately headed there. "May I ask where the Cloud Luan Palace is?" Tang Ao knew that the Cloud Luan Palace was located in the extreme north of the Feishing continent. However, after arriving there, Tang Ao realized that the extreme north was simply too vast. The entire extreme north was covered in pure white snow. In a place like this, even a powerful cultivator like Tang Ao would find it difficult to locate the extreme north. The person stopped by Tang Ao was a 17 or 18-year-old girl. The girl was startled by Tang Ao's sudden appearance and immediately drew the longsword in her hand. However, when she saw that Tang Ao was only asking for directions without making any other movements, the girl relaxed a little. The girl then sized up Tang Ao and asked, "Why do you want to go to the Cloud Luan Palace?" Tang Ao was stunned. He did not expect this girl to be a disciple of the Cloud Luan Palace. Since she had appeared here, it meant that the Cloud Luan Palace was not far from here. "I am a pill master invited by your Cloud Luan Palace Lord to refine pills. I have not been able to locate the Cloud Luan Palace since my arrival." The girl heaved a sigh of relief when she heard that Tang Ao was here to refine pills. There had been far too many pill masters coming to the Cloud Luan Palace to refine pills. For the past 2 years, pill masters would come to the Cloud Luan Palace to refine pills every once in a while. However, the pills that the Cloud Luan Palace Lord wanted to refine seemed to be extremely difficult. Even though so many pill masters had come to the Cloud Luan Palace to refine pills, none of them had been able to refine such pills. "I could have taken you to the Cloud Luan Palace, but senior sister and I are going to the Murong family home, so you can only go by yourself. Do you see that snowy mountain in front? Go through the snow-capped mountain and head east. If you're not too slow, you should be able to see the Cloud Luan Mountain in about 3 days. The Cloud Luan Palace is on Cloud Luan Mountain. As long as you're nearby, you'll definitely see it. Thank you for your guidance, Mississippi." After Tang Ao finished speaking, he casually took out a grade 1 essence cultivating pill. This young girl was only at the 7th level of the body refining realm. Giving her a essence cultivating pill would be useful. After thanking her, Tang Ao's figure flashed and instantly disappeared in front of Qing Yi. Soon after, Qing Yi shockingly discovered that in an instant, Tang Ao had completely disappeared from her soul remembrance. How terrifying was that speed! After Tang Ao left, a beautiful lady hurried over. When she saw Qing Yi in a daze on the snowy ground, she involuntarily waved her hand in front of Qing Yi. Why is our little Qingyi in a daze? At this moment, Qingyi finally reacted and her charming face instantly flushed red. However, Qingyi quickly said with some excitement, Senior Sister Murong, I just saw an extremely powerful expert. How powerful? Murong Xian extended a hand to help Qingyi pat the snow off her clothes. This junior sister of hers was a bit dull. Her cultivation was clearly not bad, but her eyesight was lacking. Many times, she would mistake a third-rate martial artist for an expert. Chapter 1951. Murong Xian paused helplessly. She patted Qingyi's head and said, Yes, yes, yes. Little Qingyi must have met a true powerhouse this time. Oh right, you said that person gave you a bottle of pills. Let senior sister take a look. Although Murong Xian admitted that the Tang Ao that Qingyi had met was a powerhouse, she didn't think much of it. Some martial artists didn't have much of a cultivation base, but they cultivated their speed to perfection. These martial artists weren't good at fighting, but they were unparalleled in escaping. Murong Xian usually despised these kinds of martial artists, and now Tang Ao was clearly classified by Murong Xian as this kind of martial artist. Qingyi and Murong Xian had a good relationship. If Murong Xian wanted to see the pill that Tang Ao gave her, Qingyi naturally wouldn't refuse. Qingyi immediately handed the pill to Murong Xian. Murong Xian was also curious as to what kind of pill this person could give her so casually. When Murong Xian opened the jade bottle, she sucked in a breath of cold air. Murong Xian had been in the Cloud Luan Palace for so long, but she had only seen this kind of pill in the hands of the Cloud Luan Palace master. Murong Xian also remembered that the Cloud Luan Palace master had said that this pill was a supreme-grade essence-augmenting pill. Murong Xian knew that little Qingyi was really lucky this time, because the person she met this time was likely a true senior. Otherwise, he wouldn't have so casually given her a bottle of supreme-grade essence-augmenting pills. Silly girl, your luck this time is quite good. This is a bottle of supreme-grade vitality-cultivating pills that are even more valuable than superior-grade vitality-cultivating pills. With this bottle of supreme-grade vitality-cultivating pills, you should only need 2 to 3 months to break through to the peak of the body refining realm. Senior sister, this pill is so precious? Then I can't accept it. How about I return to the Cloud Luan Palace and return it to him? The reason why Qingyi accepted this bottle of pills was because Tang Ao was a guest who came to Cloud Luan Palace to refine pills. If she didn't accept Tang Ao's gift of pills, it would be the same as not giving Tang Ao face, which was very impolite. However, Qingyi couldn't imagine how Tang Ao, who looked so young, could take out such a precious bottle of medicinal pills. You silly girl, if he can casually take out such a bottle of pills, it means that in his eyes, this bottle of pills is no different from the low-grade vitality-cultivating pills in our eyes. Since he gave it to you, just accept it. Besides, in this world of ice and snow, if it weren't for you, little girl, here, who would be giving him directions? Take it, good girl. Murong Xian patted Qingyi's head and continued walking with Qingyi. Murong Xian was Murong Xian's older cousin. Now that the Murong family was on the brink of death, even though her cultivation base at the pinnacle of the body refining realm wouldn't be of much help, Murong Xian still wanted to return and rescue some of the Murong family members. In reality, after Tang Ao's trip to the Cloud Luan Palace, Tang Ao was prepared to go to the Murong family. After all, Murong Xian of the Murong family had once saved his life. Now that the Murong family was in trouble, Tang Ao naturally wouldn't just stand by and watch. Moreover, with Tang Ao's current cultivation base, it was enough to help the Murong family resolve any crisis. Chapter 1952. Because Tang Ao's cultivation was too strong, the disciples guarding the mountain didn't detect anything. Tang Ao had already entered the Cloud Luan Palace. After arriving at the Cloud Luan Palace, Tang Ao instantly released his soul remembrance and began to search for Yun Luan's position. Although the Cloud Luan Palace wasn't small, Tang Ao's soul had completely recovered. Using his soul remembrance to search the Cloud Luan Palace clearly wasn't a problem. Very quickly, Tang Ao's expression changed because Tang Ao had already seen Yun Luan. Currently, Yun Luan had fainted in an underground palace. On the cold jade bed in the underground palace, there was a beautiful woman whose aura was about to completely dissipate. Tang Ao didn't have much time to think and quickly arrived at the underground palace. There were many defensive arrays in the underground palace, but these defensive arrays didn't pose any threat to Tang Ao. They didn't pose any threat to Tang Ao. After passing through the long passageway, Tang Ao arrived at the underground palace. Junior Yun Luan. Seeing the fainted Yun Luan on the ground, Tang Ao hastily walked up and took out a tranquil heart pill for Yun Luan to consume. At this moment, Yun Luan had clearly fainted from grief. After consuming Tang Ao's pill, Yun Luan's aura slightly improved. Soon, Yun Luan woke up and saw Tang Ao. Seeing Tang Ao, Yun Luan's face was first filled with joy. Then, she quickly began to cry. "Senior Tang Ao, it's too late. My aunt has already passed away." Yun Luan didn't think about how Tang Ao arrived at this place. However, Yun Luan felt that for Tang Ao to appear here, he must have concocted the spirit pill. "Yes, if I was any later, I really wouldn't have made it. Now I'm not too late." After speaking, Tang Ao helped Yun Luan to the side. Then, with a thought, Tang Ao summoned the Jade Bone Life Soul. After Tang Ao's soul was completely restored, his Jade Bone Life Soul also regained its former vitality. Faint green specks of light instantly entered Yunshi's body, and the aura within Yunshi's body, which was so weak that it was almost undetectable, also began to slowly rise. Then, Tang Ao took out 3 spirit pills and fed them to Yunshi. Originally, with Yunshi's current condition, let alone 3 spirit pills, she wouldn't even be able to endure 1 spirit pill. However, under Tang Ao's control, after Yunshi consumed the spirit pill, her Jade Bone Life Soul began to guide the medicinal essence of the spirit pill through Yunshi's body. Therefore, even if Yunshi took 3 spirit pills at once, it did not cause too much of a burden to her. Under Tang Ao's guidance, Yun Luan was pleasantly surprised to see that her aunt's complexion, which had previously been devoid of breath, was now gradually becoming rosy, and the life force in her body was incomparably rich. The soul remembrance that had completely disappeared earlier was now condensing bit by bit. This process lasted for 3 days and 3 nights before Tang Ao spat out a mouthful of turbid air. Then, Tang Ao said to Yun Luan, "Junior sister Yun Luan, your aunt is fine now." In these 3 days and 3 nights, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was completely exhausted. After Tang Ao's soul recovered, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was extremely terrifying. However, using his soul remembrance to guide the medicinal essence of 3 spirit pills at the same time was a bit too much for Tang Ao. Fortunately, Yunshi was finally saved by Tang Ao. Now, Yunshi was in the process of self-recovery. In at least half a month, at most a month, Yunshi would be able to completely wake up. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.